In today's episode, I'm sitting down with a YouTuber, a person that many people respected for a very long time. I've been watching this guy for close to 3 to 4 years, and I saw him grow his channel from 100,000 subscribers all the way close to 500,000 subscribers. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to become a villain. In today's episode, we dissect the story of Spencer Cornelia, a YouTuber who found a niche in a space of exposing scammy marketing tactics and individuals who were taking advantage of their audience. But a couple months ago, he made a drastic mistake by dropping a single video that ultimately changed the trajectory of his channel. Not only that, he's been in litigation for over a year, spending thousands and thousands of dollars just to defend himself over a defamation lawsuit. In today's technology age, we fall in love with these content creators, but when they make a fundamental mistake, or they do something that you don't quite like, we automatically write them off and call them grifters, scammers, sellouts. Like you, I was also a fan for a very long time. And like you, I started looking at him a little bit differently a few months ago. I reached out and I asked if he wouldn't mind sitting down and having a conversation with me, so I could understand exactly what he was thinking a few months ago, and how life has been moving forward as a YouTube content creator. We won't find in this episode are a bunch of questions about his friend, Meet Kevin, or Graham Steffens, or Andre Jick, because he's not here to speak for them. He's here to speak for himself. So without further ado, enjoy today's podcast. What's up, Spencer? Thank you for coming on my channel, man. First of all, I really appreciate you coming on. You have like close to 500,000 subscribers. I barely have any, so thank you for coming on and making the time to sit down with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I love the YouTube world. I'm in a good mood today, so I think we could have a really fun conversation.
Good. Are you usually in a bad mood?
No, it's just, those days where you roll out of bed and you're like, man, whatever the dream I had was really awesome. I've finished a lot of work up until now, and then I've had some good conversations already. So it's just a good day. Everything's going right.
Good. Hopefully we'll continue that for sure. So don't worry. Yeah, can you tell my audience a little bit about who you are and exactly what you do on YouTube?
Yep. YouTuber, real estate investor. I like making videos about unethical business practices. I really enjoy talking about really bad marketing. And this kind of ties into this world of fake gurus that it's become very popular, which is a lot of false advertising. So I think those are my favorite videos. I made a lot of popular videos kind of uncovering certain advertising or marketing tricks that gurus or internet marketers use. And those have been my most popular videos. So I enjoy making those types of videos on YouTube. And then I do what's called house hacking in real estate, which is where you buy a house and rent by the room.
So would you consider yourself more of a YouTuber or a real estate investor?
YouTuber for sure, because I'm more successful as a YouTuber, but I would say the amount of time spent on both is equally similar.
Yeah, so you live in Vegas.
Correct.
Very interesting. How long have you been living out there?
Since September of 2015. So coming up on 8 years.
Oh, wow. You literally moved there a year after I moved away. So I was out there for 8 years from 2006 all the way to 2014. And clearly you still like it because you live out there?
I love this city. I think it's the best city in the world. Everyone comes to you. I'm a short flight I'm actually going out to LA in 3 weeks, and I'm flying Jet Suite X, and it's $260 for a round trip to fly Jet Suite X, which is shared private. You can get everywhere in the Southwest. People come to you. You got the Strip for endless entertainment. It's been up until now, it's been really, really affordable to live here, but we have no property or no state income tax and really low property tax.
Yes, I do agree. That is one of the benefits. I'm surprised that you actually really like it, especially since you've been living there since 2015, what makes it 8 years now that you've been living out there. I got sick of it within the first 2 years. The first year I did the gambling. The second year I did the strip clubs. I did that the third year. I did like a lot of local stuff. Then after that, things just kind of died down, did the house party stuff. But I was also young and dumb. And then when I started a family, I realized this is not the place I really want to raise my kid. Because I think you and I can agree, if you're a pretty girl out there, it's easy for you to make money.
And the money is insane.
This isn't an appropriate place for children. Dad? Anyone like a dad?
It's okay. We know the owner.
So the houses that you have, because you said you do house hacking, is it in Vegas? Most of your properties are located in Vegas?
4. Yeah, 3 are in the Southwest, and then one's by the airport.
And you bought during 2015 when you moved out there?
I bought a condo 2016, but I've since sold that. The single families that I have were the first one was officially purchased in April 2nd, 2021. Then I had another in July of 2021, January 2022, October 2022. So all pretty recently.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got someone a pretty good interest rate to 2021 was, I'm sure you got an interest rate around 2 point something, right?
It was in the threes, but yeah, it was low.
Okay. And then 2022, not so much, correct?
Yeah, the first one I bought in 2022 was an investment loan, and so it was higher. And then my property in October is 6.375, I think.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, I don't really care. So I don't really think about the interest rate. Real
No.
estate for me is long term.
Okay. So you're just trying to and obviously if the interest rate goes down, you just refinance as well.
Yeah, that's an option. Yeah, down the road.
Okay. Because before we get into the YouTube stuff, I do want to talk about the real estate stuff because you also have a real estate course that you just recently put together as well. On another channel, you were talking about that. I know you said that you put a lot of effort and a lot of time into it. How long did it take you to put this course together?
A couple months for sure. This one I wanted to make more than just an info product because I know a lot of people's courses, a lot of criticism about courses is you can Google it. And so I wanted people to not ever have that feeling with mine. So it certainly has an informational aspect to it, but I have a whole module with property tours and house tours. So I go out and actually tour listed properties and walk through why it would be a good deal or a bad deal. I also have case studies with friends who do the house hacking method that I do. And so I wanted to add a lot of extras on top of just like the information. And so that when people bought it, they didn't feel like they could get this information anywhere else. And so
Yeah, so this is not like
about 2 months.
So it's not like a ghetto product, which is you with your iPhone. You actually have like a cameraman who follows you around and stuff like that. And
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
Yeah,
No,
I wanted to go above and beyond.
I went through a lot of courses. Okay, a lot of them are pretty ghetto. All right, most
I
of them
thought
are
that
like
was like a joke.
PowerPoint.
That actually happens.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's up? What's going on? It's Chris Johnson, and today I'm going to teach you guys about options, the intro to options. So options are pretty complex.
Yeah, I've been through so many, mostly stock related stuff, not really real estate. I'm not in the real estate space. I should have been, especially since I own several houses. I just was always scared to rent them out. But I've gone through a lot of courses, and most of them are like just PowerPoint presentations and stuff, and people talking. There's really not much effort put into it. Then they put a high price tag on it, and that's when I start having an issue. Especially if it's very much basic information, like you said, you can Google yourself. But you're saying the stuff that you put in your video, you can't Google, right?
Yeah, and house hacking also isn't quite mainstream enough to where a lot of this would be Googleable. I think the real value of a course in house hacking, of course mine, and then I hope if there's any other competitors, I hope that they do the same thing for their clients. And that is how to manage properties. You can certainly find stuff on how to manage properties on Google, I'm sure, but it's going to be very, very surface level. How do you find tenants? How do you perfectly filter through tenants? How do you manage the properties? How do you go through a house and analyze if it's good for a house hack? I don't think that stuff exists because I've been doing it for 7 years now, and I used to consume all types of real estate content. And I don't really know of any influencer that's big on house hacking. Most people do it once and they'll get a fourplex and they'll rent out the other units. And it's real surface level. It's just like, bro, just get a fourplex and rent the other 3 units and you can house hack. But it's way more than that.
So that is what house hacking is, right? It's like you basically renting out rooms or finding duplexes and stuff, and then just essentially living for free off of the other people who are renting off of you, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's the theory. The goal is to live for free. And it's a catchy, sexy marketing title. How do you live for free? Well, yeah, if you buy a big enough house, my strategy is to get 5 or 6 bed houses so that I have enough tenants that not only cover the bills, but then you can cash flow while living for free. That's the ultimate goal. But really the way I see house hacking is how can you make your space most efficient? I have a friend, I just did a case study with a friend. He lives real close to me. He was a dating coach here in Las Vegas, whereas clients would come to the strip and they'd go out into the bars and nightclubs and pick up women. Well, he would have his clients come stay with him for a week. So picture if you're some type of coach, even let's say you're a fitness coach and you could fly your clients out and stay with you for a week. Think of how valuable that would be. You could house hack. That would be a different model than what I implement. But you could have your clients come stay with you and charge $2K, 3K, 4K, whatever you believe your service is worth. And you give them essentially a boot camp for a week. Well, they could come stay with you. Well, if you have empty rooms, you can offer that. Certainly easier when you don't have a family, by the way, because I'm sure you're thinking, I can't do this with kids.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I'm thinking back by when I was in my 20s, how I probably should have done that because we were 4 bachelors living in a house in North Las Vegas. And we were all paying, I think, like $600, $500 or something like that. But just thinking back, I probably should have just bought that house and then just did the same thing. Again, my mind was somewhere else, naked women.
Yeah.
So that's what my mind was.
Yeah, and there's plenty of ways to do it.
partying.
I kind of address that because I know a lot of people come to me and, I have this reason for not having the ability to have roommates, which is okay. There's also in Vegas, you can turn garages into, you can convert the garage. You can have properties with en suites. You can add casitas. I think over the next 10 years, we're going to see a really big business boom in the ADU space. So I think Boxable is one that comes up. There's a few different companies that offer this kind of done for you casita model. I think we're going to see that becoming a really big thing. And so that way you could have a property to yourself where you've got your family that lives in it, and then you have a ADU in the backyard. I think we're going to see a really big boom in that industry. And so I think there's many ways that you can make this happen. Look, you can get really creative. How about a content house? That's what I'd love to have. Get a big house with 6 beds and then have people come and live with you, and then maybe you get a cut of their revenue instead of paying rent. Like once you start getting creative, you could have many different options.
Yeah, I feel like the content house stuff has already been overplayed back in Cali. A lot of people seem to have lost a lot of money doing these content houses, right?
I think they do it incorrectly.
Okay. What do you think they're doing incorrectly?
Well, a lot of these guys were like blowing up the house.
Correct.
So when the expenses are really high, they spent more than rent. I think if you can do it in a way that either they pay rent, or if they're established enough where you believe they're at least on the upward trajectory where they're going to make enough money where your X% cut will at least cover, what a fair rate on rent would be. Or you just do it as a risk where you become the talent manager, you become the music industry where you're bringing in a bunch of talent and you hope one hits.
Yeah. And,
or you build out a podcast. My buddy house hacks in a sense that he lives alone, but he has a big enough house where his living room's turned into a podcast studio.
Oh, so you could rent it out and make money off of that?
Well, he uses it for himself, but yeah, you just brought up a great idea. What if you had a pretty default looking podcast room? You could then start renting it out to people.
Yeah, that's a good way.
So many ways. So what I try to implement is just kind of the mentality of how can you make your property most efficient economically?
So how did you get this type of mindset? Because you said 7 years ago is when you bought your first property. Did you come from wealth or something? What made you decide, hey, I want to get into real estate. Let me try this. Let me get my first investment property. What was the whole mindset behind it?
Real estate was definitely from my move from Oakland, California to Las Vegas. I lived in Oakland before this, and no one owns property up there in the Bay Area. So I come to Vegas, and at the time, properties were they were still low price. This was 2016. 2015 is when I moved here, 15, 16. And I had this belief like, oh, I can actually own property for the first time. And a few friends linked me to this company called Bigger Pockets. They had an awesome podcast. And then I actually, at the same time, I met a guy at the gym who just became a friend. He said, yeah, I do this thing. I bought a house in 2012 and I rent to my friends and I make this much from rental income and I pay this much on my bills. And he was living for free. And then at the time I was listening to Bigger Pockets. They brought up this idea of house hacking, and it kind of combined. I saw the practical example of it and then the theory on a podcast. I need to do that. And so right down the street was a community called Las Vegas Country Club out here in Vegas. You might be familiar. It's right behind Westgate Casino. They had condos for $120,000. I was living in a rough part of town. I saved up. Lived super frugally, saved up to buy the condo, and I was able to buy the condo for $120,000. And then that started my house hacking.
Wow, that's super cheap because I know they're going for a lot more now. Like a lot.
My unit sold for $255 last year.
Oh, I thought it would have gone up a little bit more.
Condos generally have a cap because you have a huge HOA.
Yeah,
and so
there's
because
the HOA was what, like $600-700 a month, because I'm sure it included the pool. Yeah,
there was $300, but yeah, if you go closer to the strip and you have the high rises, you're starting to get into the $600-700, maybe even $1,000 a month range.
Yeah, my biggest regret, man, was when I lived out there. And so we bought our house shortly after the housing collapse, right? So North Las Vegas at that time during 2008, 2009 was relatively new. So it's supposed to be like this new booming town or whatever. And then everything went, to the shit. And all these houses in our neighborhood that we ended up buying in, they were all at least minimum $500,000 homes. That was it. But they were all foreclosed. Majority of them were foreclosed. It was like 60 to 70% foreclosed. So we ended up buying a house, a 3,300 square foot home. I think it's 4 bedrooms, 4 baths or something like that. Huge. And it was right off of Losi. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that at all. But it also, the neighborhood started going down the drain as well because they ended up losing funding for the police department in North Las Vegas. So there was like a lot of stuff that kind of went left. So it got a little ghetto. Regardless, so we bought this at that time. The house was only 2 years old. It was worth, I think the person who bought it for $550,000. We bought it for $171,000. Yeah. Then when we moved in 2014, we sold it for 250, I believe. It's worth 556,000 because I keep getting notifications. I don't know how to turn it off, but it keeps reminding me what a big of a mistake that was, because
Go
that
to
would have been
Redfin
a
and turn it
perfect
off
house.
as your house. That's
Yeah.
probably what you need to do. But yeah, that's the
God.
power of long-term holding, man. Like, you don't make money in real estate and cash flow, even though people tell you on Instagram and TikTok, I make 4K a month, I make 10K a month, whatever. The cash flow number is whatever. You make money long-term by holding. You buy a property and hold for 30 years, and then you look at how much it's worth and like, oh, wow, I got a pretty nice net worth.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that one day I can get an opportunity like that again. Because also during that time, my wife's mom got divorced and she moved to a condo that was a couple streets down from us, like 5 minutes from us at that time. And those condos were being sold for $45,000 a unit. And now they're going for 225 minimum.
How to 5X your money, baby.
Dude, God, yeah. That's our biggest regret, honestly. It's just a Vegas home. Out of all the homes we own, that was one we should have definitely held on. But I was scared because you clearly had the balls to go and buy a condo and rent it out. I was scared about renting out because I heard all the horror stories of what can happen, especially in Vegas. Like, you have a lot of questionable people who can move into your apartment or your condo or your house and they destroy it, and then there's not much that you can do, right? So that was like my biggest fear. And I just had a family and, I wasn't making a lot of money at that time. So those were things that I was kind of concerned with. And it sounds like that was not at all in your mind of like, what if this goes wrong? What if this person damages my apartment or my condo at that time that you had? You were just kind of went straight in, huh?
Yes, because I am always forward thinking. I jump first and then ask questions later. I know that real estate will make money long term. And so I just knew it was the right decision. I also am aware that any type of investment or any type of just kind of pursuit in life that has an opportunity to make money is going to come with risk or headaches. I've always known that. And so whether you want to go get a job or whether you want to start driving Uber or buy real estate, whatever it is, there's going to be headaches that you can complain about. So going in, I know there's going to be things that go wrong. Real estate over time is probably the best investment vehicle in America. Outside of if you had some penchant for buying businesses and you were able to buy small businesses that had the chance to grow. I mean, that's going to be a crazy ROI, but real estate is pretty awesome investment over time. And I just jump in and then you figure it out later. I'm very systems oriented. So I know that whenever problems come up, I try to solve it once and then implement some type of system so that I don't deal with it again. And that's
I agree with you.
Now I have 18 tenants now and I don't really spend a minute managing.
Yeah, I agree with you to a certain extent because I think it also depends on the situation. Again, you were single, right? So
Correct.
There's nothing really to worry about where when you have a family, you got to kind of think about your family because you can't keep failing, right? When you're young
right.
and you're single, you can fail 100 times and get back up and it's no problem. But when you have a family, there's a lot more risk. So you try to move a little bit differently, more cautious in certain things.
I completely agree.
Take less risk. Yeah. So that's kind of the situation I'm in. But honestly, like literally me and my wife, at least once a month, we talk about the Vegas home and we're like, we should have tried. We should have just tried. Even though we have no desire to go back, we should have tried. Now, since you do live in Vegas, have you had any crazy like tenants or anything, like any issues with anybody that you, I guess, run into?
Yeah, I feel very confident in my course because I believe I have as much or more management experience, which is the real risk of this game. How to buy real estate is not a secret. You can go on Google and YouTube. So like that part of my course, you can Google. But I think the management side is something I've done pretty well at. I've had so many headaches. I've had the cops show up to my house numerous times. I've had a fire in my house. I've had, let me just give you a story. The one I didn't tell Echoes. I had a tenant that was living with me and he kind of fell in hard times. Keep in mind during COVID, this was a really hard time.
Yeah.
I was the one property I had was in a rougher area. It's not a rough area, but it's an interesting area where there's a lot of commercial buildings and it doesn't attract the best tenants. So I got someone that was kind of getting back on his feet, if you will. And I showed up one day and I looked in my room. I'm a very tidy person. Like I know instantly if someone's been in my room. It's like a weird sixth sense I have. And I looked down at my credit cards and they were in a different order and they were altered a little bit. Like when I left my credit cards on my desk, they were all perfectly situated, but I went in and they were slightly off. I'm like, I know myself. I don't think I would have left them. Like my OCD would not have let them be the way they are. So then I started going around like, who touched my credit cards? I then started looking at my statements and I saw that one of my credit cards had an authorization for that day. I never used that credit card. So it's like someone used my credit card. come to find out, one of the tenants, like, they've fallen on hard times, went in my room and tried to go purchase something at a local store using my credit card. So little stuff like that is certainly a headache. Well, like 2 months later, someone shows up at my door. Knock, knock, knock. I show up. Hey, can I help you? Hey, is this tenant here? I go, oh no, he moved out last week. I don't know where he moved to. This guy goes, okay, he screwed over one of my friends. So I'm just looking for him. I was like, that's doesn't feel comforting. He ended up getting shot.
Oh.
Yep, paralyzed. I think he screwed over someone in a bad deal. A bad deal involving some stuff that you don't want to put in your nose or put in your body. And so there's plenty of stories that I have about tenants.
So like with these tenants though, did you do a background check on them at all?
No. So this was a way different time in my life. Now it's a way different process for me. I figured out where I went wrong. I don't do any background checks. I find no correlation between background checks and how good of a tenant they'll be. I know this will get a lot of disagreement in the real estate community. Yeah. I don't find any, same thing with credit score. My best tenants have had felonies on their background. I've had, at this point, I've probably had 50 to 60 tenants, and I have not been able to find any correlation between anything. Like there's not one metric I can look at like, okay, good. He's good here. He'll be a great tenant. Keep in mind that with the house hacking method where you put people under one roof, there's an element that you can't predict, which is how do people get along? How do certain personalities match? Mm-hmm. So that's something that I have to keep in mind in addition to all the other factors of being a landlord. And so what I look for that I think can best predict is, do they have stable employment? Ideally from some type of big company, because then a background check would have already happened, by the way. Like if they're employed at, let's just say Walmart, they've already done some type of background check. So stable employment and then referral from a previous landlord. Even better if they've lived in a similar situation with roommates, because then the landlord will let you know, like, oh, this guy was a problem the whole time, or no, he's great, he pays on time every month, he's never been a problem. Those two, if they can check those two, which is what I look for now, if they can check those two, then it's just down to, do you feel like they're going to be a good fit personality-wise within the house?
But you do kind of run some risks there with not doing any of these background checks and stuff like that, and
I'll agree optically. I'll agree that, you could get someone bad. But again, it goes to, do they have stable employment? Like if they do, then they were good enough to get employment. Does that make sense? Like they've already passed the background check. If they're something really bad, then they wouldn't find employment. Yeah, no, I totally get that. And clearly I'm assuming you, like, how much do you on average rent out a room? $750 a month for the rooms that share a bathroom, and then $900 for the primary bedroom.
Okay, is that considered kind of high in Vegas?
In Vegas, that's actually pretty fair. When I tell people that here, they go, "Oh man, you could really charge more." I think it's a very fair rate for both parties.
Okay, and it sounds like, just let's have this conversation with you. You don't go through a management company; you do it all yourself.
Correct. Yep, do it all myself.
Okay, so to me that's a little strange, and I tell you why. Because like, when we're going to go into the YouTube space, right? You have close to 500,000 subscribers. Do people recognize you?
Yeah, like out in public?
No, like as the landlord.
Oh.
Like, do people recognize you, or do they have any idea who you are?
Yeah, I've had probably 4 of my tenants now are fans of my channel that reached out to me.
And that's got to be weird though, doesn't it? Like, just
no, not at all.
Oh man, yeah. Like I'm way risk. Like that would be too risky for me. I was like, I don't know. I would go through a management company.
They're the best whenever they look, because the way I see it is, if you like mess with my content, you follow me and you agree with a lot of the principles that I agree with, then we probably have a lot of similarities. And plus, I do assess them. It's not like they move in without me touring the property with them, having a few phone calls, and trying to get an idea who the person is.
Yeah, got you. Now, have you ever had anyone that was kind of creepy who was trying to become a tenant who was clearly a fan of yours, but could have been stalkerish?
No, I don't. I haven't experienced that, thankfully.
Okay, that's good.
It's nothing weird has happened.
Now, is there a reason why you're not going through a management company? Because it sounds like it's a little bit of a headache if you have all these tenants. Like, is it, do you just don't mind it? You actually enjoy doing that because managing various different tenants?
Yeah, here's the challenge that I've been faced with the legal bills. If I did not have this lawsuit, I'd have enough to buy 2 more properties. What I was trying to get to is, I wanted to reach a point where I could hire a manager full time and then justify it with the cash flow. Where I'm at today, I'm about $2 to $4K a month cash flow. And so if I hired someone full time, it would kind of wipe out all my profits. I use the cash flow from real estate to pay for my living expenses.
Mhm.
And so I'm still probably 2 properties away from justifying having a full-time property manager. And so that was the goal. I was so close, but I didn't quite reach it. So that's the real answer.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah,
gotcha.
I'd love to have a full-time property manager. I also think that's where you can kind of get to the next level as someone who sells a course. I think it would be great to have, because I think everyone's goal should be to start with real estate, get in it, understand it, and then a couple years later have enough properties to have it managed such that it becomes a passive investment as opposed to an active one.
Yeah, and even management companies, they take such a huge cut, right? Isn't it like
10%.
60% or something? Oh, it's 10%. Okay,
10%.
so it's not that much. That's still kind of a lot, though, if you think about it, because once you pay off all the expenses of the house, I'm sure you probably include lawn service or an HOA and
Property management,
whatever.
that fee is actually really low if you consider the effort and energy put into it. Real estate should not be looked at as a cash flow investment, in my opinion. I think it's long term. And so, yeah, if you nickel and dime, it cuts into my profit, I don't think that's the right way to look at it. I think you make your money long term, appreciation and equity pay down.
Okay. And then if the first place you got, what type of loan did you use?
The condo, I had a 20% down conventional loan.
Is that money you saved yourself, or is it something like for your family? Or
yeah, it was a little bit of a combination. I was very frugal at the time, and I was able to save up from a couple jobs prior where I had a pretty good amount. I could have bought it on my own. However, I had money that my parents didn't have to put towards my college because I was able to get Hope Scholarship in the state of Georgia. And so I didn't have to pay tuition the last 2 years. I think it was like 10 grand around that that my parents provided. So the down payment was 24,000. I think if I remember correctly, my down payment was probably somewhere between 10 and 16,000. And then I think their extra 10 got it to 20. So I could have done 10% down, but with their money, I got to 20% down. So it's certainly helpful, no doubt. But a lot of it was from saving.
So what were you doing before you bought this condo? Like, what were you doing for a living?
I was in the sports industry, actually. I worked for the Birmingham. I interned at Florida State University right after college. Then I interned with the Birmingham Barons, minor league baseball team for the Chicago White Sox. Worked for the Houston Rockets and then the Oakland Athletics. Then I made a career change in 2015 into tech. And I got a job out here in Las Vegas, out in Summerlin, at a tech company.
Doing what?
I was a QA engineer. So I was testing software before it went to production.
That's such a major pivot out of what you were doing prior to.
Yeah, well, I was trying to get into coding. I really wanted to become a software engineer. And that was the plan.
Oh, and that's what prompted you to move out there to Vegas and stuff. And then you just opted to go with the real estate. So at what point did you start your YouTube channel? Because I discovered you maybe 3-4 years ago. So
nice. I started January 2015 when I was up in Oakland. I was doing fitness videos. Then I started doing videos about my boot camp, my experience with General Assembly, because no one really was. And I was still trying to find my footing. Like, I knew this YouTube thing was big. I just couldn't figure it out. I didn't have the skill at the time to really make it something of myself. So I just made videos about kind of what I was doing. And then I started making, when I moved out to Vegas, I started briefly touching on like personal finance and just kind of sharing finances, how much money I made, how much I spent, videos like that. And then 2019 comes, this was like 4 years into my journey. I started making videos about real estate, and some of these shows weren't telling you the full story. I had started flipping houses, and I was like, they don't show you a lot of the real details. And so at that time, I started making the videos kind of like what they don't show you type. Like that was the theme. And then of course I find CoffeeZilla, and it was the perfect match. So then he influenced me to start making the videos I started making.
Yeah, because like no disrespect, but I always saw you like the baby version of CoffeeZilla, because he was like, I think I had like 1 million subscribers or something, and you were encroaching. You were, I think, I'm not even sure if you were at 100K at that time when I first started following you, but you started growing significantly, and it was always YouTube. YouTube always used to do these exposed videos, so I would always watch both of you guys' videos, and it was pretty cool to see. I didn't know you were doing YouTube for that long. That's
I had a second channel as well that I was doing fitness, because I had started up a little online fitness business. I wanted to do personal training and weight loss training, and it didn't work out. I did like 50 videos on a different channel, and it just never connected, and it wasn't the right fit for me.
So this channel you have now under your name, is that the one that blew up, or were you also working on this one for years prior?
Yeah. This one, the main channel, is the one I've always been working on. I've had videos since January 2015.
Got you. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that because the video that I found you was basically a video that you did on Dave Ramsey,
Oh, right
and
on.
you basically said that his advice is terrible advice.
I think so. Yeah, for
Re-
most people,
really,
for a lot of
in-
people.
Yeah. Which do you still believe that?
Yeah, I think he's great for getting people from negative to zero.
Mhm.
He's clearly great at it. The market tells you he's great because he's helped so many people. But the
Mhm.
problem with Dave Ramsey is he's like the typical boomer who sees the world as a circle and some people are squares. And he goes, no, 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 you must do this. You must pay cash for everything. And then sometimes entrepreneurs will call in and he'll give the worst advice. The worst advice. I mean, he's so good for his specific niche. Like if you're a high earner and you have a lot of cash, yeah, just go pay cash for stuff. But this idea of like getting a 15-year mortgage on real estate is the only option or paying cash, it's such bad advice that I'm kind of shocked at how ignorant he is. Like how disinterested he is in seeing the nuance in every conversation. But to be fair, that's worked for his brand and he's worth 1,000x what I am. So I think he's done pretty well for himself.
Yeah, because I watched that video and I remember I agreed and disagreed with you on that, right? Because I have heard that argument before. A lot of people say, he's very archaic, he's old school. If you really want to get rich and retire early, this is not the method for him, right? Personally, his financial literacy or his, I guess, was just financial, personal finance. Everything I learned from him actually got me out of debt.
Which he's great at.
Florida, which is great. Now, I understand what you're saying because I listen to him a lot. People call and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying a car to do Airbnb. And he's like, you're stupid. Don't do that. Stuff like that. So I get it. But he's definitely a dream killer.
Yes.
My argument, I would say, with a lot of people who usually always say like his stuff doesn't work, kind of like your video, is that his message is for the masses versus the minority, right? It's for the majority. Right. Majority people are not entrepreneurs. Majority of people are not going to be millionaires. Majority of people are not going to have some great idea or the hustle mentality to actually make X, Y, and Z amount. And I think that's the reason why he focuses so much on the majority versus the minority. Because most of the videos that you see of people saying, retire early are people our age or younger on YouTube who are telling you I did this. And also a lot of them are liars. Let's just be real too. So that's where I kind of disagree with.
I think where you're coming from, which is a really good point, is there's a voice out there, like Elon Musk, for instance, who is, if you have a 1 out of 100 opportunity to go build this thing that you love, do it. He speaks for the people, that 1 out of 100, that's going to be the crazy mind that against all odds goes and creates the thing. But 99 people will fail. Will listen to that advice and they'll try the thing and it'll fail. Elon Musk is great for that person. What you're saying, and I think is true, is Dave Ramsey is a great reality dream killer for the others, but he would kill the 1 out of 100, but he would also protect the 99. And so I think it's two ways of looking at the coin. I much prefer the inspirational, like let's go try something. Let's be the person that defies the odds versus trying to be realistic. He's realistic. That's what it is.
Yes. Yeah, definitely realistic. And he does he's harsh sometimes with his words, but I do agree because we didn't adopt every single one of his strategies, like buy your house cash. I mean, clearly I didn't have the money to buy my house cash.
He came in a different area or a different era. Who in the world has cash to buy real estate nowadays?
Yeah, like the average person doesn't have $400,000. Like that's like the average nowadays, right? I think
biggest average price like $450,000. You're not even getting in like an exclusive area. $450,000. You know how much cash that is? That's like that's serious dough.
Yep. And he came in an era as well with cars where it's like you could buy a car for $10,000. Now it's like $50,000. So
right. Interest rates were kind of irrelevant at the time because everything was so cheap. You could have a job and 6 months later buy your car cash.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm really against his whole mentality on credit cards. So I credit card hack. That's like, I love it. Nice. It's just, I think I get it again. The message he's saying, don't have credit because most people are not disciplined to be able to utilize the credit cards properly, end up creating debt. And then next thing you know, they're filing for bankruptcy or put themselves in situations that they probably shouldn't have been in. So that's one of the reasons. But also, another one of the videos that really stood out was Dan Lok. Is that his name? Dan Locke? Don Locke, the Asian guy. That one was pretty funny. So when you started that, like started getting into this exposed space, was that your intention?
Yeah, I've come to not enjoy that expose word because I never wanted to be the guy like exposing. I think CoffeeZilla does a better job at that. At the time, I thought there were a lot of internet marketers who had made a lot of money running advertising and kind of presenting themselves as someone they're not. I'm very fortunate to have come from a really awesome upbringing, upper middle class. My dad's a financial advisor, and just seeing how like the reality of people who have money, not a single one of them acts like Dan Lok did. And so I just felt like there was a lot missing. And at the time they were really hot. I don't think the kind of the internet marketing fake guru flashy ad style, maybe it isn't as popular today. It doesn't feel that way to me. But at the time it felt like these guys were really popular. And I wanted to just come out with videos like, who are these guys? Are they actually legit?
Yeah, I think they definitely died off now because it's so obvious, right, that it's kind of they're marketing to you. So now it's a little bit more secretive or disguised in various different ways. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But yeah, because I think Ty Lopez was the one that stood out to me. Ty Lopez was like the very first guy that I was like, this guy's full of shit.
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. It's fun to drive up here in the Hollywood Hills. But you know what I like a lot more than materialistic things? Knowledge.
This guy is definitely full of shit. There's something off with this. And then you start seeing a lot more people kind of adopting that strategy because marketing wise, it was genius. Take a whole bunch of money and flood YouTube.
Yeah.
And, you know, even if it's just 10% that will buy into your program, you probably make your money back with that.
He was making like $100,000 a day.
Yeah. And that's a killer. And he has this really interesting backstory, which you can't really verify, you know, live with the Amish and all this other stuff. So it's very interesting seeing where we went to where we are now, or where we came from to where we are now. But you killed it, man. You killed it in that space for sure. And then you also went a lot after the gamblers, right? In Vegas. It seems like
those are my favorite videos.
Yeah. What do you call those people?
Bettors.
Sports bettors. Yeah. Sports betting. That was like
touters.
Yeah. And did you specifically start really focusing on that? Because it seems like you know a lot about sports betting. And I'm assuming it has to do with your previous job, when you were working in the sports industry, right? Is that the reason why you kind of started going a little bit after them because you knew it was BS?
Actually, not as much, even though that's good correlation. I had an idea that sports betting was not legitimate as far as a money-making scheme because I just know how the casinos work. Mm-hmm. And then I made a video about a really popular guy named Steve Stevens. And that was just kind of a fun video because I was, this guy doesn't seem legit. And then I had a few people reach out and I've since had connections and some people have shared with me how the industry really works. So one benefit that happens when you start getting bigger on YouTube is the more attention generally leads to a much higher probability that you reach a person that can mentor you or really help you. And so I'm fortunate that those videos got enough attention that enough legitimate people reached out and then helped me understand the industry better. And so once I understood the industry, I then could really go after the sports bettors because I understood the industry better than anyone else. And so no one could make the videos I did.
And so this, what's his name? Steve Stevens? Is that the guy? Because you did one exposed video on an individual who's a sports bettor, and he ended up reaching out to you and saying, hey, man, the video that you did is basically misinformation. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not a scammer, and I prove it to you. And he was willing to allow you to come. Is that who that was?
No. So that's okay. Mickey. He's a gambler. He's not sports.
Yeah. So if anybody were to ever say they win 100% of the time, you don't even have to do an exposed video on them. We already know what it is. You can't win 100%, right?
Okay. He's a gambler. Okay. That one. Now that was, did you get flack for that?
Yeah. That's the first time I'd ever seen like legitimate hate. There's a lot of negative comments that you see and you just kind of brush them off. That video was the first time I ever felt like, oh, people are really dissatisfied or really disappointed. Which was upsetting because I want to live in a world where, especially, looking at myself objectively, I made an unprovoked video about someone basically questioning everything they've ever done, calling them possibly a fraudster. Like, I don't want to live in a world where someone unprovokes, makes a video that was unprovoked, and then they aren't even willing to meet up with the person and say the stuff face to face. And so my belief in the world is like, hey, I'll doubt this. I don't believe it to be true, but I'll also give you a chance to speak up. And if anything I said was false, I'll at least give you a chance to speak. Thankfully, this is how the legal system works. Everyone can defend themselves. And I think we all want to live in a world that allows you to defend yourself. And so that video was really upsetting to me, seeing how many people hated without realizing the intention was just to simply ask him questions in person. If you want to believe what he's saying or not, that's up to you.
Yeah, that one was interesting because I do remember, so you say unprovoked video. It wasn't unprovoked because clearly he was in your radar for, I guess, marketing. Was he marketing?
Well, what I'm saying is if you started saying ugly things about me, that's unprovoked because I never did anything to you. But if I like screwed you over somehow and then you made a video about me being a bad dude, it's like that's a provoked video. That's what I mean.
Got you.
You didn't know who I was. I didn't know who he was. Like in the game of making videos about people that you don't know, they're all unprovoked because I haven't lost money with any of these people. They haven't screwed me over in any way. And so I call them unprovoked in that Like they didn't do anything to deserve it from me. And so I think it's only fair that if I make a video about someone, I at least give them the chance to speak, especially if they're going to say, hey, come meet me in person. Because look, all these like negative comments and all the channels that, you know, talk about other people, how many of them are actually willing to, you know, be confronted and actually chat about someone they made a video about? I would hope everyone. I don't know how many. Certainly the anonymous comments, you got a lot of people. It's like the cliche, super tough in the comments when you're anonymous. Well, will you say that to my face? Right. And I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to build up a brand that talks shit behind a camera and then never meets up with the people. That you're a coward. That's how I see it.
Yeah, but how did he even get in your radar to begin with, this Mickey guy? Because how did you even find him? Clearly, someone must have texted you or sent you a DM, or you saw some sort of video of him bragging about how much money he makes gambling or something, correct?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube all the time. I'm on social media looking at people who are relevant or like stories that might be interesting. And so I saw him on No Jumper podcast. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. I don't know of a way to beat Baccarat. And he claimed to beat Baccarat. And so I was just really skeptical. So I was essentially just reacting to his interview on No Jumper.
And then you guys met up and clearly your mind changed, right? And that's like, yeah, I think that's like the first time I could see how your audience maybe just kind of turned on you a little bit, because it's like, wait a second, you call this guy out, you call him a scammer, the next thing you're like hanging out with him. So
yeah, I get the optics, but thankfully, you got to be really careful as a YouTuber on who you spend your energy on in the comment section, because that video, if you had to guess, you probably wouldn't guess it. It's a 97% like ratio on 1 million views. So overwhelming majority of people liked it. If you spend all your energy on the 3%, I think that's the wrong way to look at it. 97% of people liked it, probably even more. So all the people that got upset, they're in the minority. So I don't really even spend time thinking, like, if you got upset, that's on you. But most of my audience loved it. And they probably gained more respect for me. Like, oh, this guy isn't just a shit talking guy who sits behind a camera. This guy actually is willing to go out in person and say things to people's faces.
Yeah, I actually respected you for doing that video. I looked through the comments, and that's when I started seeing like he was bought out by Mickey. And I was like, oh, well, could he have been bought out by Mickey?
Yeah, it makes you wonder, right? But no.
So then you start wondering, you're like, maybe. But I was like, you know what? It is what it is now.
That's my brand, though. That's what I want. I want my brand to be discussion. I want there to be a conversation where, hey, I don't believe this to be true. I don't believe what you're saying, but I'll at least give you a chance to be heard. I would much rather exist in an environment that allows that discussion, because I think that's a mature way of going about the world, as opposed to sitting online and like, this guy's a scammer, this guy's the worst person ever. And then if they wanted to maybe just disprove your claims, you're just like, oh no, I'm not going to respond. He's just going to convince me or something. Like, to me, that's not fair. I mean, you'll understand it. I hope it never happens to you, but you'll understand if videos get made about you, kind of quote unquote exposing you, and then you want to disprove it. You're like, oh no, hey, actually, maybe someone claims that you used to be a male stripper or something. You're just like, no, I'll disprove that this is not true. That was not me. Here's the proof. And then they're not even willing to recant their statement or make another video showing your side. What does that tell you? Their interest and their incentives are to expose and not actually get to the truth. And I've been all about getting to the truth. That's what I care most about, even if it means putting out a video that people are upset at, or where maybe I could be proven wrong. I'm totally willing to do that.
So when you met up with Mickey, though, what was the determining factor that really changed your mind? Because I'm sure that you shot a whole bunch of hours of content and you sliced it up to show, whatever you did on your channel. But was there anything specific where you were like, okay, this guy is actually legit?
There actually wasn't that much extra footage. Yeah, I think the wrong wording was used where I said, like, this guy's legit, and everyone took it out to be like, he's legit in literally every area. What I meant is I made a lot of claims in my first video, which is like, this guy doesn't get laid as much as he says, or this guy doesn't party, he doesn't know. You know what I mean? So when I say he's legit, it's just kind of an overall collective of, hey, I've seen a lot of stuff. This is more legitimate than I initially thought. And then the pharmacy stuff, he seemed to explain it pretty well. I'm not an expert in that business. And as far as Baccarat, he showed me his tax statements from the casinos. There was no funny business either. Like, he went through it, loaded the page, logged in, I looked at the URL. It was a legitimate URL, or it was in the app itself or whatever. And so, like, yeah, if he fooled me, it was like some elaborate scheme that he created in 16 hours that I went from first talking to him to meeting up with him in person somehow. So the way I see journalism is this. I can only report on what I've been shown. I can't report on what I haven't seen. And to me, you have low ethics if you will meet up with someone and you don't ask all the questions, or maybe you leave some stuff out, and then you go back and make a video saying, I still don't think he's legit. Like, to me, you're unethical if you do that. I can only report on what I've seen. And so even to this day, with I think closing in on 2 million views collectively on my 3 videos of Mickey, not a single person has said they've been scammed by Mickey. So how am I going to report that he's a scammer if all I've seen is tax statements showing multiple millions in winnings and no one is damaged? Like, what that to me, that would be, I should lose all my credibility if I were to make another exposed video with no proof.
Was he selling anything? I don't recall.
No, that's the whole thing. Is like he wasn't selling anything. People are like, he's scamming. What is he scamming? He doesn't have any clients.
Oh, okay.
That's like the funny part. If he was selling a course on how to win at Baccarat, then I totally get the pushback, and I would have pushed a little harder. But he's just a dude gambling on his own with his own money, and not taking any money from anyone. He doesn't have a course. He's gambled with celebrities, so I imagine if he screwed them, they would have freaking.
It would have came out already.
They would, yeah. Like, he's hanging with multiple celebrities, Logan Paul, Lil Baby, like all these guys, and yet none of them seem to be dissatisfied. They're all still friends with him. It's like, I'm just not. There's nothing there to like make a video exposing him. And this is what is upsetting me so much, is this like little cancel mob, this cancel culture mob that just seems to know everything. They just know everything, right? It's very upsetting when he's a scammer still. It's like,
I get it. I guess maybe, the stuff that he showed you, I'm assuming that most of his wealth didn't come from the gambling. It came from.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's not at the end of the day, I'm not the IRS. I wish I know, because then I could make an explosive video. But, I only dig so deep. If you're willing to show me your tax statements on your phone, that's what I can go off of.
Got you. And then you end up doing another video I remember seeing. I forgot the guy's name, but you met up with him in person.
Yeah,
I thought it was very ballsy. It was the big black dude.
Yeah, Mr. Organic.
Mr. Organic. There you go.
Money, I ain't with no scamming stuff. So when people call me a scammer, it's disrespectful for my grind.
Did you have security with you?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Thankfully, I have a very wealthy friend who's like, yo, you need security. Let me give you one of my security guards.
All right. That was always like one of my questions when I saw that video. I was like, I wonder if he has security, because I feel like he wouldn't have walked up to that dude like that with a camera without security.
I would have until my friend told me to get security. And I was like, oh, that probably is smarter.
Yeah. And that was pretty ballsy of you to do. What made you decide to actually just go up and confront him?
Well, a big part of that is I don't want to be seen as this guy who, especially, and I get it, some people see a white guy from upper middle class making a video about a black guy. I can see how they're just some hater. He's just some hater behind a screen. He's a racist hater. I've seen the comments. But I really do not want to create a brand that is someone that sits behind a camera and calls everyone out and then isn't willing to meet in person. Like, to me, that makes you kind of a punk. And so with that one, we were kind of going back and forth. And I thought it'd be, well, of course, content first. Great content first. So that always comes first. But yeah, I thought it'd be really interesting. And then if it went well, and it ended up going perfectly, where we could actually sit there and chat, like, yo, we're cool.
So with Mr. Organic, the fact that you met him face to face, and you said you got some of the comments that says, "Oh, you're just as a white guy trying to take down a black guy." I've gotten those comments as well, because again, my niche was mostly in the black finance, right? And I'm wondering, is that the reason why you don't do a lot of videos on black content or black marketers or finance people or scammers or gamblers? Is that the reason why you kind of stay away from that? Because you don't want to kind of fall into that trap of being called a racist, because we are in this society now where everyone's super divisive, and that's the thing that could definitely, I guess, hurt you. Is that the reason why you kind of stay away from them?
It's a great question. No, what's ironic is I never even considered skin choice or skin color and the choice to make videos until I made a video about like Mr. Organic, and then everyone started calling me racist. And I was like, oh, what have I been making? Like, then I try to assess, like, have I been making videos about black people? And I'll look, and it's like 20 straight videos about a business, crypto, or white person. I go, okay, I didn't feel like I was targeting a certain demographic. And then I've even noticed even recently, it's like, I haven't talked about a black person in a long time, because every time I do, it's like, I get the comments like, oh, you're just a racist white boy trying to tear down the black man or something. I'm like, well, if you look at my track record, very few of my videos are about African Americans. But no, I don't. What I look for first is interest. Like, I'm in the game of getting your attention. And so theoretically, if I knew every single video would be like 1 million views about a black person, it would make the most sense for me to do that. All I care about is just interesting stories. If a story is interesting, then I'll look into it. So I think it's actually more of just coincidence that it generally is all white people. Maybe they're more fraudsters. Maybe whites are the biggest fraudsters in America. Maybe that's the problem.
It's a lot more, probably. Definitely a lot more. Now, when it comes to Mr. Organic, though, how did he even come into your radar as well? Did you happen to see him online as well, and that's how you end up discovering him? Kind of
back in 2021, I had a lot more inbound emails and Instagram requests than I do now, and so I can't remember him exactly. Someone probably tagged him like, "Hey, what do you think of this guy?" And I looked at a couple videos. What I'm always looking for is a theme as well. Around that time, I wanted to talk about casinos and people promoting casinos and that you could win gambling. And I felt like at that time, Mr. Organic was making a lot of videos about winning at gambling. And so it wasn't really so much targeted at him. It was just this theme of, I wanted to share the idea of influencers promoting casinos. And he just happened to be the guy that I knew promoted it. And so he became the target, but really the theme was about casinos. And that's what started it.
Oh, and man, yeah, that was a really good one, honestly, especially since you confronted him. Have you guys talked since?
No, we texted a little bit afterwards. We're cool. I think he enjoyed it because it was content for him. It was a chance for my audience to jump into his world a little bit. And I think we both look good in it, in the sense of, like, I think a lot of people respected me, the fact that I actually showed up to talk to someone twice my size, and certainly from a different background, that I did that in person. And then I think we also saw that he was nothing but respectful towards me. Like, when the cameras are off, he was the same person. He was super cool with me. And the way I treat life, he was nothing but respectful towards me. He earned the respect from me. He did nothing wrong towards me, so therefore I owe him respect. And I thought it was super cool. I'd love to, if he came out to Vegas and hit me up, I'd meet up with him for lunch.
Really? Even though you kind of because you still consider him, though, kind of a grifter.
No. So I think that was a major misconception. Like, unfortunately, I kind of get labeled as this like exposed channel or grifter slayer channel, but that's not really my intent. I don't really think he's a bad dude. I do think he promoted a crypto coin that I'm not a big fan of influencers promoting that stuff, but no, I got no problem with him. It was just the fact that I didn't agree with his promotion of casinos. The way I see it is this: like, we all have disagreements. If we started talking sports, you might have a belief so-and-so's the best player. Oh, no, I totally disagree. Like, we can disagree on a lot of things in life. And that's why I see it with him. I just disagree on this little thing on what to promote or what you should promote. But we probably are cool outside of that.
But you kind of did expose. You showed him. You showed the world that he's willing to accept money for whatever.
Correct.
You pitch him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that was definitely the purpose of the video.
Yeah. So that is kind of grifty, which means that this guy has like no morals on what he promotes and what he doesn't. If you pay him enough, he'll do it.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Pretty shady.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's kind of similar on the lines, I guess, of like Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Maybe not as much because they kind of create their own usually, but they do get paid to promote certain things. Or there's a lot of people who promote certain things without really knowing much about the product. It's just they look at the money and they're like, okay, I'm willing to do X, Y, and Z.
I think most influencers are willing to do that, especially in spaces where they're not going to get flack for it. Like, I have to have I'm going to get way more scrutiny if I promote something that's not ideal, of course. But like a good example is you talked about established titles. Like, most creators who promoted established titles, none of their audiences cared, nor did they jump ship or care at all. It's all about the environment you create on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. The established titles, it was a funny one to me. I'm so surprised that it got so much attention.
You want to know why? So here's like a deeper look into audiences. That video is a 30,000 view video if it happens a year prior. The reason why is because you had this FTX calamity. And I think right now a lot of people are becoming more and more skeptical of influencers because they've seen enough after the crypto and NFT and seeing how you have a society right now that a lot of people are struggling financially, and they see influencers as making a lot of money in the best career. This is the best career if you can make this a full-time living. And then you had this period of time with NFTs and crypto where so many people made so much money at the expense of their fans. So then you have FTX, and then it blows up, and a lot of people made videos positioning these influencers as the bad guys. And you have another situation where influencers made money, people lost money. So then established titles is another thing where it's like, it was enough of a scam. It was enough of like misleading marketing, like enough of it. What I mean is 5% enough, but it was enough to get people really worked up, but they were already worked up. And so it was like a double combo. But if it was a year prior, no one cares. No one cares. Go out and talk to 100 people in the world. Who cares? No one. Not a single person cares. It's the same thing with Star, naming a star. No one
Yeah, or
thinks
Pet
it's a
Rock.
scam. It's just like everyone's like, oh, it's obviously a joke. It's like, hey, do you want to buy a square foot of land in Scotland, and you could be called a lord or a lady? Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that sounds like a funny gag gift. 100 out of 100 people believe it. So this is like it was a perfect timing, and I give him credit because he came out with a video at literally the perfect time for that video to pop, and it did.
You're talking about Scott Schaefer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know the guy too well. I know, the guys I get along with hate him. I know it's like but he blew up. I mean, off that one video, he went from maybe 6,000 subscribers, 7,000 to maybe he had a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, he was more. He was
100.
about 30,000. He gained.
Okay.
I looked at his Social Blade. He gained about 50,000 subs that month. So he had a massive month.
Yeah, off of that one video, which he did give credit to the person who actually exposed it initially. It was another person on Twitter or something like that who talked about it. Maybe got a little bit of traction, but his video really got a lot of traction. And I watched it and I was like, because I was going to buy one of those gifts. It was not through Established Titles. It was like another company. I keep forgetting the name of it.
Highland Titles.
Yes, I mentioned it in my video. There you go. Yeah, Highland Titles. I saw it on like Groupon. And clearly, I mean, did I really think I was going to be a lord and my wife was going to be a lady? No, I knew it was a gag gift. And I mean, dude, it's $40. I think that alone, the price should have just told people it's not a real thing.
Say that though. You can't say that. You're victim blaming. This is the cancel culture we're a part of, dude. It's $50. That's me too. It's like, dude, it's $50. And they have a refund policy. It can't be a scam.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
you're buying an expensive book, basically.
Yeah, that was probably one of my videos that got the least likes. That got a lot of thumbs down on that video. They're like, no, it was a scam.
Dude, people are so emotional right now. That's why you got to be really careful. This is such a non-scandal. Like in 3 years, when we look back, it'll be a joke. It's like, wait, oh yeah, that thing took off. It's where we're also at. If you want to look at the market cycle, right now we're in a really downward spot of market sentiment in the public mentality. And so I think people are more skeptical now than ever before, which is again why I think a year prior that video is irrelevant and no one cares.
Yeah. Since you brought up the FTX and we were talking about how people are really sensitive right now to anything that is, I guess, considered a scam or has some sort of controversial aspects to it. The FTX. Now, this is why I do appreciate you coming on here. I don't like most of your friends. Now, I don't know them in person. I mean, when I say I don't like them, I don't know them personally, so I don't mean I don't like them as like a character. Just from what I see on camera, a lot of the stuff, I don't like the marketing tactics. Not so much Graham Stephan, because I understand you're friends with Graham Stephan. You're friends with Andre Jick, Meet Kevin, Jeremy Financial, and a few others. Tom Nash we both get along with him. But those guys got caught up in the FTX scandal. And they got a lot of flack for it. You did a video and you came out and you basically defended them in a way. You gave your opinion on your aspects of it. And ultimately, I would say this was like I wouldn't say a downfall because you're definitely pivoted, but this was kind of a downfall for you, right? Because it was a hit. It was definitely a major hit. And do you regret doing that video?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't care about the views as much. Like I wouldn't be able to sleep with myself at night if I knew I had a belief and I didn't make that public because, oh man, I might be scared. I might lose some subscribers. There are a lot of people on YouTube who will only go after views, and I don't. That's why I don't stick to narratives when not appropriate. So no regrets. I mean, it's certainly from a strategic perspective, of course I regret it. I would love to take it back because it was pretty damaging to me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, not regret as in like what your opinion was, but regret actually making a video and dropping it. Do you feel like you would have probably been better off just not saying anything at all?
From a pure YouTube perspective, absolutely. Yeah, but see, I don't think that would have been the right thing to do because I don't believe the narrative was correct, and I have objective reasons to believe so. And so I thought it was most appropriate to make the video. But yeah, from a YouTube perspective, I would have benefited a lot more had I not released it or just not talked about it at all.
Yeah. And I think this is where you and I probably don't see eye to eye a little bit, and which I'm a little confused with about your sentiment on this whole issue, because you clearly take YouTube serious. This is like a business for you. This is your livelihood. This is what you do for a living. You are a content creator, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yet you're like, well, I couldn't sleep if I didn't put this video out there. But at the same time, as a business person, knowing that this is your business, I'm sure you had an idea that this would probably backfire.
Not like this. Here's the reason why. Because I've made numerous videos in the past on really touchy subjects, and I'm always the objective person. It's just like, I don't really know what's true. Like Andrew Tate's a good example. Like when everyone was flaming Andrew Tate, I made the video coming out saying, I don't know if he's guilty. None of us do. We should probably hold off and hold judgment until he does. And as you imagine, there's like a whole movement online that just cancels everyone who possibly doesn't come out and say Andrew Tate should be in jail for the rest of life. Always, my audience was 96, 97% like ratio. They were always objective and rational. And so I figured with the FTX situation, they would react the same way. And so that was the first time I've been so wrong about a video that I'll take the L on that one, because I was so wrong. I very much underestimated people's upset. I don't know how else to word that, but just like how upset people were. Yeah, their anger. I've never seen an anger like the FTX crowd. Never seen it on YouTube.
And do you think maybe it was also misstep? Because I heard you on the Echoes, podcast when you guys sat there, and kudos to you, dude. You sat there for 2 hours and just got your ass handed to you by various comments and people just being real nasty.
That's the hornet's nest. You got to remember, man, this is such a small community. Here's why. Let me give you a little interesting insight into FTX though. So my audience is already going to be skeptical. Everything that's a scam or fraud is they're probably going to be pointing the fingers at the public influencer, the person involved. So my audience, if you break down society at large, my audience is probably a subset that is the most likely to point the finger at the influencers and claim them to be the bad guys. Would you agree?
Yes.
Right? Like I'm in the exposed space. It was a scandal where influencers promoted a scam, right? All things considered, I still had a majority of likes on my video. So we're talking about the most subset of people that will go against the influencers and point the finger at them and say, they're the bad guy. If you defend them, you're the bad guy. And I still had a majority of people. Now, granted, it wasn't an overwhelming majority, but still a majority of people agreed with my opinion in the subset of people that would be most likely to disagree with me. And CoffeeZilla, who is the big dog in this niche, made a video painting them to be the bad guys. And I disagreed with him in my video, and he's their hero right now. And I still had more likes than dislikes. So I want you to extrapolate out into society at large. Most people align with my beliefs. Unfortunately, it was the message that I gave was to the wrong crowd. And that's why I ended up taking it all.
Let me give you a little pushback here. So you're looking at the likes to dislikes ratio, right? Correct. Maybe a lot of people just didn't smash the like button or the dislike button, but you saw it in the comments, right? So do you put more weight in the comments, or do you put more weight on your dislike or like ratio?
Not as much in either. And here's why. The comment section is always going to be an indicator of the people who have the strongest emotional response. That video was polarizing. In a polarizing video, you're always going to see more of a response from the negatives than the positives, because people in the positives are unlikely to leave a positive comment knowing that there's a huge wave of negativity. You'll see this any type of political debate. Imagine going on Twitter and anything that's anti-Donald Trump. If you were pro-Donald Trump, you're probably just not going to leave a comment because you know you're going to get downvoted to hell. And so I think on a video that's that polarizing, I don't know if either one is like the best metric. I think most people are neutral, where they're like, okay, I can kind of see like, yeah, the influencers should probably take some responsibility, but also, I kind of agree with Spencer on a lot of points. I think probably 80% of people are neutral. And then you're just seeing like the 5% or whatever that is so negative, or when I say negative, I mean opposing my position, that they are willing. Because remember, we're talking a video that had 200,000 views may have had 1,200 comments, right? So that's 1,200 comments on 200,000. We're still talking about a very small minority, which is they are most likely to the people who felt strongly negatively in opposition of my position would be most likely to leave a comment. A lot of people who would want to leave a comment just like, hey, I can see both sides, or hey, I agree with Spencer, are not going to leave a comment.
Yeah. And, when I was watching that, your interview, this is where I think you lost me on the part where you said that you don't even watch your friends' or I don't know why I keep calling them friends, because they're not even really your friends. They're acquaintances more than anything, right? This is not like you guys aren't like hanging out every single weekend. It's not like your best friend. This isn't like your.
I've hung out with Kevin twice in my life, and people. Yeah. And so I got called like biased and whatnot. It's like, dude, I've hung out with this guy less than my roommates or a friend, my neighbor.
So they're more like acquaintances then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now Graham and Andre, I'm much closer with. Tom Nash, I'm very close with.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So I think it's fair to call them my friends because as a collective, I'm close with a few of them.
Okay, because I don't want to get that like the misinterpretation, people thinking that you're like hanging out with these guys every single weekend. I just want to make it clear like what level of like I guess friendship, because we use that word friends very loosely, right? So
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we kind of get that straight. But you mentioned that you never watched these guys' content really, right? So do you think that was a mistake as well? Maybe you should have looked at it and watched their content to see exactly why so many people are upset with them.
No. So I defend their ability to promote FTX. Me going on Echo's channel, I think him starting with the questions he did was actually very strong strategically for him. But I defend the ability to promote FTX. I don't think anyone is at fault. For instance, if you promote something and the CEO goes against their own terms of service, I don't think that's on you. I'll hold that position for the rest of time. I don't know anything about courses. I don't promote their courses. And so I think there was this misinterpretation where all of a sudden it's like you're defending these guys who there's ugly videos about them. I don't watch their videos. I don't promote their courses. I'm not here to say whether they're great at X industry of investing. It seems like people are upset with the stock market. I don't know. And so unfortunately my words got twisted. And when you go in these hornet's nests like I did, I think, and I'm not painting you out to be like this, but a lot of people are trying to spin your words in a way to disagree with you because they already are going in disagreeing with you. And as opposed to reading your words or excuse me, listening to your words and trying to understand you, they're listening to your words to nitpick and then find faults. And so what I said was true. I don't watch their content, but I think the misinterpretation was that I promote their courses. And so I would agree that looks very bad if you're promoting someone's course and you don't even watch their videos. That would be really bad. But there's like two totally different conversations. And I think that's what got misunderstood.
So you're saying, if I'm tracking correctly, you're not really talking about the person's content. You're talking about the fact that they promoted FTX. That is what you're talking about. You're talking about the FTX promotion, not who they are and their product or what they're selling on YouTube or their YouTube channel. You're saying that as a content creator, this is an offer that came to them and it seemed legit, so you don't really blame them, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And then even later in the call, he was like, "So do you promote their course?" I said, "No, I've never promoted a stock market course. I don't know if it's any good. I don't know."
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, after going into, I guess, the hornet's nest, do you kind of see the other perspective of things?
Yeah, and that's why I do it. I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy being challenged. I don't think going in echo chambers in life is good, where you're only around people who are like, "Yeah, Spencer, you're right on this." Like, I think it's smart to listen to other people. That's how you grow. That's how you see blind spots.
Yeah, because I have mixed feelings on the whole FTX. I think I did a video on it as well. Do I think they should have got as much flack as they did? Yes. Do I think they should get sued? No. I think the lawsuit is gonna be useless. I think it's more just to make a point and probably seeking some sort of settlement. Because I did look into the guy, and he's just an ambulance chaser. Personally, my personal opinion. He's just to me, from what I researched, it's just my opinion. He's an ambulance chaser, looking at who he sued prior, and just a whole history of him suing people. But I think they should have probably done a little bit more due diligence, because I actually sat down with Tom Nash when I did my interview with him. This is right before the collapse of FTX. And him and I were talking about that. And I even mentioned my concerns with FTX because I just have concerns with crypto, period. I just don't trust crypto. I think it's very iffy. It's very volatile. It's a risk that you're going to take that could potentially literally go to zero. So it's like something I'm just not comfortable with. And I get offers all the time. My channel's not huge. And probably half those offers are probably fake anyways for advertisement. But it's always crypto or some game that has to do with tokens and stuff. And I'm always like, no, thank you. I don't do crypto. I don't promote futures brokerages, which, like you can buy into like a futures program. Like I don't do any of that stuff. But when I was talking to Tom Nash, and I did kind of defend him in the video, when I interviewed him and I brought up my concerns with FTX, he's like, no. Like it's legit. Like BlackRock's, backs him, all this stuff. Like he truly believed it was a legit thing. Even though at this point they already fired him, they weren't working with him anymore. He only had like 2 months or something, but he truly believed that it was legit. Now, I know from Strongman's perspective, he saw that it was a scam. And I think CoffeeZilla also did a video months prior that there was a lot of questionable things about FTX. And I guess the audience, the reason why people are so upset is because like these are people who deem themselves as financial literate people who are looking out for your best interests, right? The audience, the YouTubers, but they fell into this habit, unfortunately, that during 2020, it was a boom. Everything was going up. It didn't matter what they called out. Not so much Graham. Honestly, Graham, I don't even count him to be part of that whole group anyways, because Graham is very much like, to me, a younger version of Dave Ramsey. That's just how I see him. He's very conservative on his investment. I remember when they had that Dogecoin guy on there, and he's like, I think you should sell. Like, is that high? You should probably sell. Take your profit. And guy's like, no, man, I'm going to go down with the ship. And it's very stupid. Look where he's at now, right? So like Graham, I kind of just exclude, but everyone else was really shilling the cryptos on their channel. They're talking about all these very risky companies that weren't profitable. And clearly during 2021, they looked like geniuses. 2021, they kind of looked like geniuses, and then things collapsed. And then it kind of exposed that they don't really know as much as they really do. But I also know this, it's a stock picking, right? You're stock picking, you're going to be wrong. You're going to be right at times. I just think that they've been wrong quite a bit. And I think it's very unfair to sell courses to an audience saying that, you have all this great financial literacy, you're great at investing or trading, but you're really not. And the record has shown it. And I think that's the issue with a lot of people are like, look, man, like you guys told me to invest into, I guess, Tattoo Chef. I think that's like Jeremy's thing. I don't know. That's what I hear. I don't really follow Jeremy like that. But I do watch Meet Kevin, who was like, Lemonade, AI, and all these other stocks that literally went down 90%. And he's always constantly selling. Like every 5 seconds, he's selling something. And the guy's a master salesman. But you can see how people got upset because it's like, damn, I believed in you. I invested all my money into these crappy stocks that went to zero. And then you tell me, hey, I can use this great platform to do crypto. Now I'm investing in crypto and it went to zero. Like,
yeah, the reason why here's like the one thorn in that argument though, is if someone uses a platform, FTX, Binance, Coinbase, whatever, if they use the platform the way it's supposed to be used, which is you use it as an exchange and then you get your crypto off the platform, had they done that, do you know how much money they would have lost? With FTX.
Zero. Yeah, but no one's doing that. That's the thing. I mean, and there is some responsibility that is due to the listener. I understand. Look, I've been stuck in a cult like groups before in the past. When I first started my journey, I was all about a certain group, and I lost money, and I made some money, but I lost money. But in the end of the day, I don't really hold them responsible for bad picks that I didn't do any due diligence on and just went into. That's my fault.
So my point though is everyone's labeling this something they promoted as an obvious scam. Which to me, if you're promoting a pump and dump, that is awful. That's like the worst level of this. If you're promoting specific coins, a specific crypto coin, and it goes up and then immediately dumps 99% or something, that is where like the SEC should get involved. That's like the Jake Paul, Lindsay Lohan video I made recently. But the problem is when you're promoting a platform and people, if using the platform correctly, didn't lose money, then it's not really a scam. It turned out to be a massive fraudulent scheme by the CEO. But like a lot of people used the platform and didn't lose money. So that it's not inherently it can't inherently be a scam if people used it correctly and didn't lose money. Does that make sense? And maybe we see the world differently on this, but like the way I see the world, if I went on TD Ameritrade and bought some Apple stock and I could transfer that into some wallet and TD Ameritrade blows up and I don't lose any money, that doesn't make it a scam.
Yeah, I got you. But I will push back on this though too. So again, I don't know much about like the crypto wallets and stuff. I just keep hearing that you should take your stuff off of the exchange. That's just what I hear, right? But I know with FTX, they weren't really promoting, hey, use FTX and then get your stuff off of the brokerage, Yeah,
that's fair. It wasn't in the marketing message, is what you're saying.
Yeah. No one did that.
At what point is it hand holding though? At what point do you say,
that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's a complicated situation. It's a gray area. I don't just see it as black and white, because I understand there's a lot of people who have people took advantage of them. It is what it is, but there's also some responsibility on the individual as well.
Well, let me give you an example. Andre got a lot of pushback for FTX, which he never promoted on his main channel. But in every advertisement he did for the other, I think BlockFi it was called, where it like went under too. Every single ad he did, which he did, I think it was an affiliate deal, but every single time he mentioned them, he said, get your crypto off the exchange. So it's unfortunate for him to get hit with all this stuff when he was the one always saying, get your crypto off the exchange. Like use my link to buy BlockFi or use BlockFi to buy your crypto, get your crypto off the exchange. So it's like very unfortunate that he got hit. It's like, at what point is it on the consumer? Like,
Yeah, but
you
that's
just
kind
sit
of
here
like
and tell people, like, where's the responsibility? We can't move to a country or a world where no responsibility is on, the end user.
I agree with you on that, but I'll push back again on the whole BlockFi affiliate link, for example, right? Being sponsored or affiliate to me is very similar. Granted, yes, it's the payments obviously different with affiliate links. The more people sign up, you make more money off of that versus sponsorship. You just get a lump sum to say X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
But with Andre, the thing is with him saying, hey, use my BlockFi link to sign up, but also, get your own crypto wallet. You're contradicting what's happening here. That's like me saying, dude, Robinhood is trash. But hey, sign up on Robinhood. My link is below. You should click on that. But Robinhood's trash.
I disagree. I don't think you're inherently saying it's trash. I think he's promoting that one because maybe they had less fees. I don't remember the reasoning, but let's say they had less fees. Like, I believe this is to be the best exchange and get your crypto off the exchange, because I think from your perspective, it's like you inherently don't believe that the exchanges are legitimate, or you inherently believe they all have a chance of crashing. So get your crypto off the exchange immediately, because there's a greater than 0% chance that this whole ship blows up. It sounds, I'm assuming that's kind of where your head's at.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Why promote it if you're telling people to take it off of the exchange? It's strange to me. Do you like the company or not?
To disagree with my own point, like, if you wanted to come at me, I think it's been an industry full of explosions where, like, a lot of the reason why a lot of people come out and say get your crypto off the exchanges is because they've been burnt in the past. Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm not into crypto. I've been the guy who's been wailing against crypto. So it's been unfortunate that I kind of get hit with all this when I feel like I've been the one with the biggest voice saying, like, yo, get away from crypto.
You have, and I've also, because I don't like crypto, so I've been the same way. When people ask me about crypto, like, I don't like it, I don't understand it, and anytime I do a video on it, sometimes certain things just seem like it's too good to be true. Like with FTX, the 8% I think return. I was like, 8% return.
That if they were promoting that, they were in trouble, but they didn't. They were told in their outline for promoting, it was stay away from the YBA. Do not mention it at all.
Yeah, of course. But when you go to a website and you see 8%, that's a red flag.
I agree.
8%. Like, why? That seems.
I would never promote anything that guaranteed returns. Hell no.
Correct. And obviously the stuff backfired. But like I said, we agree a little bit, but we don't agree on the whole situation with FTX. But I think overall, it's just it sucks to see that you went from like this really well respected, like, again, I know you don't like the word expose channel, to like people questioning you now because of the individuals that you align yourself with. And you aligned yourself with them because again, you see them as friends. So you thought it would be you as a person, as an individual who's transparent, you feel like it was a good time for you to come out, do a video and tell them what your opinion is, but it's somewhat, backfired clearly.
Yeah. What's unfortunate is I would do it, even my worst of enemies, even people I don't like, even if the exact same situation happened, I would come out and defend them. Just like I've shown in the history of my channel, I've always defended people of questionable reputation if they were being unfairly targeted. I've always done that. And so it's unfortunate that because it was my friends, it is seen as, oh, he was just defending his friends, he's lost his reputation, or he can be bought, or whatever the conspiracy theory is. But if something comes out next week and I find out that Chris Norland, who I don't care for, if Chris Norland was promoting Binance and Binance got destroyed, I would still defend him. I still would.
Yeah, I don't like that guy either. So, but I'm not going to touch it. I don't want to give him any time whatsoever. Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, just because he's not who he really is in front of the camera. So that's the thing. But oh man, it definitely sucks. But it did give you a chance and an opportunity, it sounds like, to finally get away from this exposed space, I guess, right? Because you have shifted your content somewhat. You definitely changed it. But not only that, let's talk about the fact that when you were in this space, this is prior to even the FTX stuff, you did a video on an individual that you, I guess, can you fill me in on the exact story to you did a video on someone, they end up suing you, and you're still in the lawsuit to this day.
Yeah, what's crazy is the first video that's in question in the lawsuit was released December 2020. Think of how long ago that was. It was like a totally different creator. Yeah, we finalized the filings last week, and now we wait about 6 months to hear back from a judge. And so hopefully the judge rules in my favor and dismisses the case. I think that'd be huge for all creators. I don't want to exist in a space where angry bullies can spend a lot of money on legal fees and destroy. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have, I spent $240,000 and I'm not bankrupt. Like, not many people at 32 years of age can spend that much money and not be bankrupt. Certainly been the most damaging to me, for sure. I mean, that's been incredibly damaging in so many ways.
Are you allowed to speak about the case a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's
Okay.
essentially a defamation lawsuit. That's what it boils down to. So I'm being sued for $2 million. And it was 3 videos in question about an individual named Derek Moneyberg, who is he sells courses.
This is the guy, and I think I watched your video. I'm not good. I forget people's names a lot. So, but is that the little short, chubby guy who has he said he has a place in, I think, Utah or something?
Yeah,
and
in Incline Village, Nevada.
Okay, that guy. Yes, I remember watching and following that case. You did the first video how you were getting sued, and then the second video you followed up about how some of the stuff that he brought to court was falsified, but you were kind of cocky in that video. Do you feel like that enraged him even more and is possibly caused this to drag out a lot longer than it could have been for the...
No, not at all. See, when you go through a lawsuit, you have the legal process, and there's no way to really circumvent that. What took my case so long is that we ended up consolidating the case. There were 2 cases, the guy I interviewed and then my case. We consolidated them, and so that extended time. So it ended up taking forever. But no, once you get into a lawsuit, there's really not much a plaintiff can do. You go through discovery and they try to figure everything out. You go through depositions, but there's not really any ways to quote unquote extend lawsuits unless you just file a bunch of empty motions, which he didn't do.
But when you did that second up, I think there was a second video, maybe it was the third one, where you were like talking about all the stuff that he claimed that was completely incorrect. You seemed pretty confident in that video.
Yeah, I was. Those videos have nothing to do with this case, by the way.
Oh, at all? Okay, so that's not at all. Okay, so this is...
No, these were videos back in 2020 and then February 2021.
Was it that long ago that I watched?
No, those videos, the videos you're referring to were released September or October of last year.
Yeah.
I only came out with those videos because I found some stuff in Discovery that I thought was appropriate to discuss on the channel. But no, those were videos that came out from the lawsuit.
Okay, and those videos the stuff that you found out that you put out a couple months ago, do you think that could have hurt your case?
No, not in any way. No.
Okay.
No, you do need to be careful. Like, if it ever goes to trial, you don't want to come out and look like you're acting maliciously, which I certainly was not doing. I've never really given my opinion on the guy. I just shared what I knew and share what he talked about in a deposition. But no, I think it's going to get dismissed well before court. And so I don't have anything to worry about. And there's no way, if it goes to court, if it goes to a trial, there's not a single person that's going to side with him.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of lawsuits. I think that's a coward's way for sure. But if you could go back, do you regret doing that video?
The video 5 months ago, or the video that led to the lawsuit?
The video that led to the lawsuit. Do you feel like...
No, I don't live a life with regrets at all. I try not to look at the world that way. So yeah, from a pure economical standpoint, it'd be nice to have my money back. But also in some ways, I think it's pushed me into a certain area of life. I think I'm going to reach my goals quicker because of it, as opposed to the opposite.
Will you make content on this if the lawsuit goes in your favor?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm starting up a podcast soon. I just need to iron out some details about where to film it. And my first episode is going to be with my attorney. We'll talk about the lawsuit. We'll talk about anti-slap cases, defamation, what creators can do to avoid liability. And so I'll bring it up there. And then once it gets dismissed, then I'm going to have a field day.
All right. See there? You're getting cocky again. Relax. That smile. No, tone it down. But I would say this, like it sucks that you have to go through that whole lawsuit, but I think it also brought awareness to a lot of other content creators who are kind of in that space of exposing people. Because one thing that you didn't have, which has cost you $250,000, is if you didn't have media insurance or any sort of insurance. And why didn't you have it?
You got to go back to 2020 when I made the videos. Number one, at this time, I wasn't making as much money, and media insurance wasn't as known. Like the idea of, I didn't even know media insurance existed. I think CoffeeZilla mentioned that he had it. He said he spent $12,000 a year on it or something, $10,000 a year.
Yeah,
maybe.
probably because it's a bigger channel, most likely.
Or he had a bigger liability damages or whatever the term is. But yeah, I was pretty broke at the time. And then also, I just didn't think I'd ever get sued. Like, it's so rare for YouTubers to sue. Like, if you disagree, you usually just like reach out and just say, hey, can you take the video down, or a cease and desist, or, hey, can you bring me on your channel, and then we'll discuss and I can defend myself, kind of thing. That's like 99.99% of the cases. I just happen to run into someone who would actually file a lawsuit and has the money to not be disparaged from going through with it. I mean, I guess he's probably spent at least $400,000. He's probably he spent a lot of money. Yeah. So you have to have enough money where that does not bother you.
I mean, clearly got underneath the skin for him to drag this out so long. So clearly.
Yeah. Well, it's more the legal process. Plaintiffs don't really have anything to do with the timeline at all.
Yeah.
So it's not really his decision to drag things out. It's more of, we exist within a legal system that favors lawyers, and the lawyers make so much money.
Yeah.
And the legal process is a long and arduous process, and the lawyers benefit. So of course they're not gonna do anything to shorten the process.
Yeah, and this is also civil court, clearly. So they're seeking for some sort of money. And are you being sued in Nevada, or is it another state?
It's actually a federal claim. The number one claim was the Lanham Act, which is federal. So I'm being sued in federal court, which I think might add to it a little. I think state court's a little easier.
Yeah.
Quicker, maybe. I think quicker rulings, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of it in the content, especially because you weren't really attacking a person's character and making up random nonsense. You were using his own stuff against him to...
No, not even. So the videos in question, what essentially happened is there was another creator who had made videos on this particular person and had the videos up for 6 to 12 months. And so I figured, if this person had left the videos up for 6 to 12 months and never received a cease and desist or never received a lawsuit or anything, then of course what he said was true. So I interviewed this person. Think of how insane this is. I interviewed another creator about the plaintiff, and I was the one who got sued. I'm just a journalist. I mean, can you imagine if Fox News, if they interviewed someone and that someone came on and said some bad things about John Smith, and the host of Fox News got sued instead of the person saying the things? You'd be like, wait, what? You'd be so confused. That was my case.
That's what happened?
Yeah, wow. I didn't say anything.
Wow.
It was an interview. Imagine this. Imagine if you said, hey, I want your opinion about John Smith. And I said, oh man, listen to this. I used to work with John Smith. He did all these things. He did this. I had someone reach out to me and said, John Smith did all these things, and John Smith sued you. Imagine that. And then you spend $240,000, 21 months of your life, and you get hammered financially like I have. And unfortunately it's led to a financial position where I haven't been able to invest in my content. And then you get hit with an opinion video that I thought was incredibly mild. And all of a sudden you're now the enemy number one, your target number one. Your views go down. You lose 10,000 subscribers. Your AdSense goes down by half. Your sponsorship money goes down by half. My legal bills was still $16,000 a month, and my income dropped to about $4,000 a month. Yeah, all from a video that I just interviewed someone. Think of that. Think of how scary that is.
Damn, that is scary. That is scary. Right? That's why.
Because if you could literally silence everyone who is in this space of kind of criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. Yeah. You've got enough money.
It's an ugly space, man. I had a lawsuit I could have easily brought up. I did a video on a person I was really cool with. It's my best performing video. If you look at it, you can see who it is. But he didn't like it. I just used whatever content that he had. I didn't give him my personal opinion on what I really know about the person. I left that on the side because my lawyer did explain, go with factual information. Don't insert your opinion because they can hit you for that defamation lawsuits and stuff.
Yep.
Anyways, that guy proceeded to play a recorded conversation him and I had a year and a half prior to that, when I was like a newbie in finance space. I didn't know anything. He played that on a YouTube channel, which over close to 150,000 people listened to. And he tried to discredit me as an individual with that. Well, little did he know our conversation. I was in Colorado and Florida. He lives in Texas. In Texas, that's okay, but not when you're doing it with a person you're having a conversation with who is in Florida or in Colorado. So I could have easily had a lawsuit. But I left it alone. I didn't do it for what? That's how he wants to play. I told people, it's like, yeah, that audio tape, that was me a year and a half ago when I didn't know anything. I know a lot more now. I'm not an idiot. So that was it. But I could have easily had a lawsuit on him for that. But I just think it's so petty to automatically go to court for things that
Everyone
really not
loses,
that
man.
serious. Yeah,
Everyone loses. It'll take
the one who wins
years
is
away.
lawyers. Lawyers win.
And it's years, dude. It's the money hurts, but then just the emotions of litigation. It's so exhausting.
Yeah,
It's hard to put into words just how emotionally draining it is.
it's not worth it. Now, with you said your views went down. You said your what is it? Your
Sponsors,
AdSense,
yeah.
all that stuff. And you lost sponsorships as well.
I never lost sponsorships, but after the FTX thing, a lot of sponsors pulled out. So you had FTX and established titles. It was kind of a bad spot, right? Because a lot of sponsors, I mean, think about it from their perspective. You don't really want to pay to put your brand on a video when kind of in the moment it was a lot of heat about like, oh, all these things are scams. Like it wasn't the right moment to promote stuff. And so a lot of sponsors pulled back. And so I didn't lose sponsors. I just didn't get any for December. I think a lot of people pulled back. I did have 2 fall off. And this is where it is frustrating. And keep in mind, I've been in a really tight financial position. I'm still in debt to this day. I'm still about, I think, $30,000 in debt right now, currently, more credit card debt than cash. And I had about $8,000 or $9,000 between 2 different sponsors. I had a signed contract, and they were good products. I was going to promote them, but they saw some negative comments or saw some negative videos about me, and they pulled out. Which is like, you have no idea how much that hurts when you're really struggling. And people are incentivized to make videos out to be you, for you to be the bad guy. And then all the comments of these like people who don't even get me started, are leaving negative comments for you to be out to be the bad guy. And I've done nothing but in this space, like stick my neck out, try to make really good videos and try to protect the general public away from like scams and frauds. And in this moment that I could, 8,000 or 9,000 is a significant amount of money to me for 2 videos. I already made the videos. I could just put the minute sponsor in the video and I'd have an extra $8,000 or $9,000. And I'd be less in debt. And for them to pull out because of some videos about me or like once it becomes real, it hurts, man. Like that's real money, man. 8 or 9 grand, that's real money.
Yeah, I can see that. And again, we talked about that earlier, like YouTube is your business, right?
Yep.
At what point did YouTube become like your primary source of income where you were like, this is what I'm going to do? Because you were working, at a software company and you were doing real estate. And I'm sure you continued to do both, right? Until when? When did you decide I'm going to be a YouTube content creator? I'm going to go in 100%.
April 17th, 2020. I got furloughed from my position at the tech company and because of COVID. And it was at that moment where I was like, well, I might be welcome back to my job, but I now have a bunch of time. I'm going to go all in on YouTube. So I went all in on YouTube and it started to take off because I finally put in all the effort on videos. And then sometime in September, they wrote me an email that I was not welcome back. And so I was already.
Your job wrote your email that you're not welcome back?
Well, yeah, I shouldn't use those words, but just, hey, we're not bringing you back. It was a company-wide email to the people who were furloughed, who were not coming back. So
so you would have stayed there had they brought you back, you would have went back and still continued to do YouTube. Maybe.
It's entirely possible. September 2020, even though I was about 6, 7, 8K a month from YouTube, I might have gone back because at that time I was still struggling. I had a major plumbing issue underneath my house and I had a massive, massive financial liability from an unfortunate plumbing issue. And I was renovating that house. Yes, I probably would have gone back for the stability, but it's kind of funny. That's why like all this like FTX, the lawsuit, like this is all a blessing in disguise. In 3 years, I'll look back and I'll write in my journal, my gratitude journal, how thankful I was for it. The reason why I'm still here with a smile. I'm in debt, but I know I'll be okay. I always find a way to turn things around and I always turn negatives into positives. I'm going to do it. This was a negative, but it's okay. I'll bounce back. I'm pretty tough skinned. I'm going to take the L in the short term, but in 3 years, I'm going to be in an amazing place. And it will be because of FTX kind of shifting my sales.
I see now why you're definitely, can we admit that you are stressed somewhat, right? On this entire situation that's going on.
Not so much now, but yeah, go back from middle of November until about February 1st, maybe middle of February. Yeah, I was in a really bad spot.
Okay. And mentally. It's because, again, you're relying solely on YouTube as your financial income. And with the whole FTX situation and everything, it definitely hurt you. And then also with the lawsuit. So there's a bunch of stuff that's going on your end of things. And that's why, like, when you went into the hornet's nest, I know a lot of people were going back and forth with you, but I was trying to, I think I even commented in there. It's like you see this as a business because you made some comments that, this niche of exposed videos is going to die soon and all this other stuff. But they don't care because this is not their business, right? They enjoy doing what they're doing. They're going to expose people regardless. They feel like this is their duty to do it, which I totally get. Sometimes when I do certain videos, I feel like this is my duty to help others. But you are seeing everything out of the lens of a business because this is your livelihood and this is what you do for a living. And I think that's why you said you were at that time you were talking about you're going to pivot towards a little bit differently. You're not going to go really after individuals and go over, I guess, situations that occur, and you're going to kind of break it down like you did with the church one.
That was the hope.
good.
Yeah, I'd love to make those style videos. That's actually a really good point. I think this is a challenge, and this is why I want to get to like more conversationalists, because I think it's really important to understand people's positions before you attack them. And that's a really great point, that a lot of these people, these smaller channels, have a full stable income where they can go at home and they just like keep making the same videos about people, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to do this or whatever. This is my job, and I have to pay my legal bills, and this is my career. I want to be the biggest YouTuber I can be. At some point, I've also been making these videos for 3 years about kind of fraud. I've been writing scripts. Like we're talking 6-7 page. These are like college level papers where I'm making arguments. I'm using themes. I'm bringing in other people's videos. Like this is real work. I've been doing this for 3.5 years. Like at some point you just get kind of tired of the same thing. And I think my content has also stagnated a little bit. So yeah, like you can't make the same content for 10 years. At some point you have to move into something different and elevate. So yeah, it's a really good point. I like it.
And because you, I guess because you're pivoting, did you specifically look at like areas that you can make money off of that are interesting topics that do pay well through AdSense?
Well, yeah, I really wanted to pivot. I want to pivot into the documentary style because I think that's doing really well. But I'm kind of stuck, to be honest. I haven't figured out whatever the next move is, and so I haven't been able to bridge that gap. I'm probably still going to talk about topics that involve fraud or scams. I think the main difference in pivot is I used to be this like attack mode, which is amazing content because you can joke, and I'm really good at writing jokes and really like going after someone. But then when I had the videos about me and I realized there's always more to the story, I can no longer ethically make attack videos. A good example is a video I'm working on now. I just filmed it just before our chat. And that is a guy who's being labeled as this like massive scammer. He's in the e-commerce business. I have 51 complaints of people who lost money through his e-commerce business. I actually chatted with him through Instagram, and I've heard the full story. And so that video, I had the script mostly written, and it was going to be hilarious. There were so many good jokes, and he was out to be the bad guy. But then when I heard the full story, I was like, I can't ethically make this video. And so I went back and rewrote the script, and I'm trying to be a journalist. And so I think that's my pivot. And unfortunately, it's not going to get as many views. It doesn't garner the same attention. But that's my short-term pivot. Is I'm trying to be more of an ethical journalist. Not that I wasn't before, but certainly more of like, hey, I will not make this video until I hear from the creator that I'm making a video on.
So are you going in the direction of CoffeeZilla? Because again, he's like actually one of your friends, right? So you guys have like talked and stuff. So, and he kind of does that. Is that kind of like what you're trying to do? Is
Yeah, I'm kind of flailing at the moment. I don't really know. I'm not sure. I'm doing the best I can. So I have a certain style of video that I keep making, and occasionally I'll probably throw in some videos like The Church, where it's kind of a more broad subject. It's more of like a video essay. Yeah.
Because I'm personally, I like your content. The Church one, I thought was absolutely hilarious. I wanted to play it for my wife. She didn't want to see it. So she was like, no. I was like, I already know. Because she's a Christian. She's super into it. But we used to always listen to the main guy. Damn, what's the guy's name?
Joel Osteen.
Yeah, Joel Osteen. Yeah, we used to always listen to him. Love his little sermons, but I mean, same thing that in any of those guys who make millions of dollars off of their audience and fly private jets and stuff, I have an issue with. This is not, it's not God's will. I mean, but at the same time, you could be called a hater. Oh, well, he deserved it. I think I've seen interviews where he specifically spoke and said that all his money. I think I commented underneath your video actually, where I said that you had made a comment about Joel Osteen. I think I mentioned that he actually lives off of the book sales, is what he says. He claims he lives off of the book sales only, and the book sales are pretty significant from my understanding. He sells a lot of them. So versus the income that people are donating, he uses specifically for the church and stuff. So that's what I hear.
I forgot to mention that in the video. Yeah, unfortunately, there's sometimes you make a video and you just kind of forget little key details.
Yeah. Now, because I get it. Again, we're in a content space. It is hard, and you do everything yourself, from my understanding as well. Correct? You do the editing.
I have an editor. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I hired an editor back in like October.
All right. And you also, so speaking of that, you also got flack for being under Creators Agency. That's the first time I think I reached out to you, right? Because I was going to do a video on Creators Agency when I discovered that all the main finance folks were underneath that, and I happened to see you. I was like, damn it, Spencer. I was like, this is why you don't do videos on like Meet Kevin or Andre Jake. It was my assumption. That's why I reached out to you. And you were like, you explained, you're like, no, I was like, I actually knew these people before I signed with them. They're my friends. That's the reason why I signed with them. But he's like, I mean, there's nothing to expose. You could do whatever you want. And I was like, okay. And I just dropped it and then I think Chris Norland did a video after that or something. So I was like, whatever.
It's really interesting being on the other side of the coin and seeing all these YouTubers make videos and talk about this agency as if it's like it's just a couple people that go get brand deals for creators. Like that's
I completely understand. I understand it because again, like I've done stuff like in the acting field and stuff, so I understand what agencies are and stuff like that. But it does come up. It looks like a red flag, and that's where I reached out to you because I'm like, you call out certain scammers, but then you look who's signed underneath there, and like Meet Kevin's questionable. I'm very skeptical about him. I've never met him, never talked to him. I have reached out to him before and say, hey, I wouldn't mind talking to you so we can have a conversation. I could get some stuff off my chest and maybe you can explain. Just didn't get back. Again, I'm only 6,000 subscribers. That's all I really have. And thank you guys, by the way. And if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. But I just seeing like all these different people and seeing you there, that was the immediate assumption. It's that's what it looks like. It looks like the reason why you weren't talking about them is because you guys are all signed under the same agency. So I will ask you this, and I would like you to be transparent. Have they ever said, hey, Spencer, I know you're in this exposed niche, or you do go after scammers. You're not allowed to go after people who are under Creators Agency. Did that discussion ever happen?
Nope. No. If Meet Kevin ever commits fraud, I'm making a video about it. If Jake Tran ever commits fraud, I'll make a video about it. But no.
Okay. So that was just
there's nothing. There's no
contract on the record, man.
or anything.
On the record.
Look, I'm not an idiot. At the same time, if you make a video about them like super negatively, you're probably not going to be appreciated at the company barbecue.
Of course, of course, yeah.
Like you kind of, I mean, there's no doubt that I could possibly hurt my relationship with them if I were to go after all their own creators. But I don't. It's not like there's videos that I want to make that I haven't made. I think that's what's unfortunate from my perspective. Why I feel like it's been like a little unfair is it's not like I'm about to make a video on Meet Kevin. I'm like, oh shit, no, he's a part of Creators Agency.
Yeah, and that's the story I want to tell you. Is like, see, I did the opposite of you. See, like you went and you did a video and you kind of said, hey, these are my friends. This is what happened with FTX, and we're all signed under Creators Agency. So my situation was very similar, right? I was part of a financial literacy group. I was really cool with them. I was with them from the get-go. Their intent initially was to help, Black people who don't have a lot of money to try to, understand financial literacy and et cetera. And then something shifted drastically. The first, I guess, red flag was they brought on Grant Cardone, and I knew who Grant Cardone was. Everyone knew who Grant Cardone was, I guess, but they had interviewed him, and he was saying a lot of nonsense that I didn't agree with. And I was like, why would you even bring this person on? Because you are exposing your audience to him, and there will be people who will sign up to his program or whatnot. And we all know that, it's iffy. I'm not calling him a scammer. I'm just saying that there's a lot of questionable stuff about Grant Cardone, and there's enough information that makes me consider him a grifter. So it was, and then some other stuff end up happening where they were charging $10,000 for a program, not showing up, just taking advantage of people. And I was stuck in a situation where people started associating me constantly with their group because I was doing videos in a private Facebook group. They would always bring me on their calls live. But I started seeing certain things, and I started knowing a lot of things and what they were doing, what their intent initially was. So I ended up doing a video and calling them out. And I knew that the minute I would drop that video, I'm going to burn all bridges with them. And they have a lot of power and a lot of reach. And I know the minute I'll do that, it will destroy any sort of relationship I have with them. And I still did it. And it did destroy them. But fortunately for me, a lot of people respected me for that. And I actually ended up getting somewhat of a following because of that. Because I did that. So that's why,
unfortunate. I almost made this video about like no one sees the videos I don't make. I just want to make a video saying if you guys want to be mad at me, be mad at all the people that reached out about some scam that I never covered that could have massively improved people's lives by not falling victim to some scam. But I never made the video because it wouldn't get the views that I wanted. Like if you want to be mad at me, be mad at that.
Yeah, see, so that's when you were putting the business in front of your, I guess, what you feel like you probably should have.
There was so many times I could have made videos about Dan Bilzerian, Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, whoever, just to get views. If I wanted to get views, I could have always played that game. Or there's investment schemes that people are, hey, I think this thing's shady. I don't know what the deal is. And it ended up going to zero, or it was some crypto something that blew up, some MLM that blew up. And I never made a video because I'm like, realistically, that many people don't care. Like, I'm not going to get 100,000 views on this video. So it's not worth the effort. So if anyone wanted to get mad at that. All the people that I could have helped, but I put views for a video from like maybe a more interesting story to me over some scheme that maybe 4,000 people could have seen and not signed up for because of my video, if I would have made the video.
Yeah. And so because YouTube is like your business, right? And you saw the flack that you got through FTX, you are pivoting the direction of where your channel is going. I'm seeing your views are getting up there again. So that's good. Congrats.
My views have always been outstanding for my channel, by the way. So like, even though I've seen a dip, I'm still pulling pretty respectable views for the size of my channel.
What do you consider like a respectable view for the size of the channel? Like 10%, 15%, 20%?
If you can get
30?
10% views to subs on the first day, that's pretty solid. And then if you can get 20% views to subs by like the first week, that's really good. And so for me, that's if I'm pulling 100,000 views in the first week, it's like a really good video.
How long did it take you to dissect all this stuff? Because once you got laid off is really when you really went like hardcore, like this is going to be my business and this, I'm going to analyze the analytics. I'm going to look into this. I'm going to search my topics of what I want to talk about. Is that what ended up happening?
For sure. Yeah, I've been on YouTube for a long time. I've been a fan of YouTube for so long, more than a decade at this point. Yeah, it certainly went into full gear once it was my full-time thing. This is all I do. I look at analytics. I'm always looking through channels. I used to spend Friday nights scrolling through YouTube, my feed, just to see what titles and thumbnails got my attention. Like, what about them? Was there a color red? Was there an arrow? What was the title about? So that was like my homework. And then, I just investigate channels too. I look at other channels. How many views are they pulling per video? How many views in the first 24 hours?
Have you ever heard of toxic productivity?
I've heard of the concept, yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you may deal with that? Like you're dealing with that a little bit?
Probably, yeah. Where it becomes all you focus on is productivity. Is that kind of the thesis?
Correct. Yeah. Like you can't even just chill a day without having to constantly, let me see what I can do for YouTube. Let me go do this research. Let me go do that. Is that, do you fall into that?
It does not help when you're in debt and your bills are more than your income. So it's like, there's an added stress of not only do I want to perform just because it's my career, but also I have to perform.
Yeah, correct. And that's what I'm saying. So it's on like the mental health side of things. It's got to be hard, man. Like, again, I understand that a lot of people are probably going to give me flack for even, they're probably like, oh, you're too nice to Spencer. Look, I'm very unbiased. I appreciate you coming on the channel. That's not the reason why I don't think I'm being easy. I'm just asking you simple questions because there's certain things that I have questions about. But I understand being a content creator, and I could not imagine this being my full-time gig and just knowing that just like that, your entire livelihood could be taken away, right? Because I'm assuming you also adjust your lifestyle a little bit to that check that's been coming in as well, right?
Yeah. Well, I live insanely frugally and have been for a long time. I was eating rice and beans for the past like probably 3 or 4 years just for dinner, rice and beans, 6 nights a week. Then I'd have pizza on Saturday nights. So my daily meals were basically protein shake after the gym and then rice and beans for dinner. I live very frugal. I don't spend any money personally. All my money goes to my attorneys, or has been. Yeah, man, November, December, January were really rough months. I talked to my parents over Christmas that I was planning on quitting YouTube and going back to school because I was like, this isn't fun anymore. I hated YouTube. I would log into YouTube and see people make ugly videos about me. I've done nothing but try to be the good guy for 3-something years. I didn't sell shit for a long time. I only took on sponsors last year because I needed to pay my bills, my legal bills. And then all of a sudden now I'm the bad guy because you can disagree. That's totally fine. But like to get quasi canceled and all of a sudden your views are down half, everyone's dislike bombing your videos and leaving negative comments about you. It's like, what fun is this? I'm getting sued. I'm spending more money than I make. And this career that I'm losing money in, this career is now no longer fun. It's like, I was so ready to quit. If you would have given me $200,000, I would have quit on the spot. The reason why I'm in such a better mood is I found a different path. I think this main channel, I think I can start a podcast that does really well. And then I'm starting a second channel should be filming here this week or next week for the second channel, and I couldn't be more excited. I finally feel free. It's such a relieving feeling.
Do you feel like maybe a little bit of the reason why you're also trying to pivot away from this this space is because you're now feeling this other end of the stick?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yes. I also just think it's a negative space. I don't think there's any more growth. I think the kind of the quote unquote expose or fake guru niche is already played out. Like the trend has already come and went, and so the only way to really grow in this space is to do something different. And I don't really know how to make that pivot. If I did, I would have already done it. And so I think CoffeeZilla has taken all the dinero right now because he's been able to kind of stand out and build such a great platform. His content production, everything is amazing. And so I think the only way to really grow within this and kind of stick to these same topics is to do something different. And so that's another element too. It's like I could keep making these videos for another year, but I just think you'll kind of slowly, like the trend line, I'm trying to do it on my camera, the trend line will like slowly go down and down and down, which if this is your full-time thing, it's not what you should focus on. Yeah, I get it. Cause I mean, I'm trying to pivot as well. Like, that's why I renamed my channel as well. I'm trying not to just focus on finance. I talk about other things besides that, hot topics, political stuff as well. Because if there's anything that I'm really strong is in the political space, I just can't speak freely like I want to because clearly I have a job. Finance is not hot either. Like finance took a hit. FTX was kind of the final nail in the coffin, but it was already kind of trending downward. So if you think about YouTube, if you're gonna spend a certain amount of time on YouTube, you can spend it on one niche, talking about finance or whatever, investing. But you can spend the same amount of time in a different niche or different topics and get 5x the views. From just a logical standpoint, why would you make video as long as you're not hurting anyone or you're not screwing over anyone? Like, why would you not spend time on the other one? Yeah, but because again, you're seeing it as a business sense of things, on a business side of things. You know, most people who really start channels, again, we all have jobs, and it's really like, well, no, this is what I like to do. Like, I like to do a video game channel. No one's watching, but I don't care. I'm going to put 8 hours into it a day, and maybe one day someone will like it. Mr. Beast, same thing. You know, I mean, he did this for God knows how long until he really blew up, and now he's who he is, right? So it's definitely tough. Do you feel like, is that also one of the reasons why you're also doing a course as well? You're trying to make income outside of just YouTube? Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have to. I've seen the value of selling. At the end of the day, you have to sell. You have to make money because here's the challenge with YouTube. Your niche and your style will slowly decay over time. Like you always have to be investing and growing. And so you have to make money in order to invest in your channel. And if you're relying on AdSense, it is such an up and down game. I'm still pulling 850 to 900,000 views a month, which is outstanding. That's really hard to get. I know my views are down about half, but still, I'm still very proud with where I'm at. And I'm only making about 3,600 a month from AdSense. That doesn't even cover. Really? Yeah. I pay an editor $2,200, and I had to take a $50,000 loan against my channel. So I pay $1,700 a month for the loan. I'm at about $4,000 a month from fixed expenses, assuming I don't spend any money going out anywhere in person. I'm just making it from my home. And so I'm losing money on AdSense. I have to take sponsors to just make ends meet at this point. You only make $3,600 a month off of your videos? Yeah, think of how insane of 900,000 views. And I've been doing this for 3.5 years. I have past videos that are still racking up views. What was the peak? How much were you getting paid at the peak? $60,000, November 2021. Okay. Yeah, I remember a lot of people were getting paid pretty damn well. Yeah, think about that trend line. I've been trending downward. November, it was 40 to 60,000 Q4 2021, and now it's down to less than 4. Wow. Yeah. No, this space it was trending, but I think it's really slowed down. Personal finance and expose, fake guru. Yeah. And so, I mean, you can still make videos in this space. I just don't think it's trending the way it was. I think the sub growth, you're seeing that the sub growth is super small. The view growth is super small. Yeah. And but I see what you're saying. You're like, if you're going to put all this time and effort into it, why not go after somewhere where you can actually make a living? So I get it. Yeah. But you do realize people are going to say you're a sellout. I don't care, but I get it. He's just doing it for the money. He's like, he's just doing it for the money. But that's why I want to make it quick. How much this shit frustrates me, man. Like I still have not taken a single dollar. I've paid all of the legal bills out of pocket, and yet I get called greedy and a sell. You know how much that like hurts me? It's so untrue. Yeah. I wish I was a sellout. I wish I made a bunch of money. I wish I wasn't stressing about money. God, that'd be great. Do you think that if you weren't in this lawsuit though, you would probably still be doing the same videos? No, last year, starting about March or April, I started to pivot. I tried to. I had a friend that was going to start filming me and start making different videos out in public. I just couldn't take the risk because I had something that was working. I had to wait until the lawsuit was up.
Is that why every once in a while I would see you like leave the room and you would go like in the casinos or something and you would talk about audio? That audio was terrible sometimes. Okay.
Yep, it was. I agree. But I was trying something new because I was so ready. Like internally, I was so ready to try something new and get out and pivot. But then I'd look at my bottom line and go, well, I have to make this work. I don't know what's coming with this lawsuit. And so it's been when I say it's been really damaging, it's just really kind of messed me up.
Yeah. And I think you picked the right course too. I don't think anyone can give you shit for selling a real estate course because you are good at it.
I've also learned there's a lot of people in the comment section. They're upset about anyone who they consider a fake guru or they sell a course. Those people don't buy anyway. So like, they're going to be upset, whatever. They can be upset.
Yeah. And I don't think the price is too bad. Now, and if you were charging like $3,000-$4,000, I would probably be like,
here's the thing. If you can't afford it, like if you're so broke, just email me and I'll give it to you for free. Like I'm going to cut that out. No,
it's
really cool. If it's a digital course. Like it's not a big deal. Like if you can barely afford books and you want to learn, and because the way I see it is if you give a lot of value to the world, I think it'll always work in your favor. So yeah, I'm going to charge because I want to make money on it, and I need more stability, and I want to invest in content, and I want to become a massive creator. I'd love to have 2 channels at 1 million subscribers in 3 years from now. And a big part of that is if I can sell courses, I can make enough money to make that dream a reality. But at the same time, like I love real estate. I love what house hacking has brought to me, and I think there's a lot of people out there that could benefit from it. And if you're struggling and you can get it for free today, I'll give it to you for free. And then 3 years down the road, you've changed your life. Like I know you're going to come back to me, and it'll come back to me tenfold.
Is there a reason why you didn't do a course on how to be a content creator?
Yeah, I can see myself doing it one day. If I can get the second channel to be super successful, because it's going to be totally different style, then I will. But the challenge with content creators, I think there's a lot of factors outside of people's control. And I only want to put out a course if I can give someone an A through Z timeline where, like, if everyone goes through my house hacking course, I can guarantee if they apply everything I teach them, then they can reach the desired finish line. I think with content creators, there's so many different niches that, like, for instance, if a girl takes the course and wants to start a makeup niche, I don't know how to give you the best advice in the makeup niche. So you end up sticking to like these super broad level subjects that I don't really think are all that valuable. It's like, what if you want to be the next Logan Paul, you can't sit in your studio. But if you want to be the next Graham Stephan, you're going to need to sit in your studio.
Yeah.
Those are 2 totally different courses, 2 totally different styles and approaches to the game. So I could see myself doing like maybe an advanced level of like a super beginning level course, and then like a medium, and then an advanced. There's like 3 sections to it. Maybe.
Yeah, because I always encourage people who do have large channels, they can kind of put a course together as long as it's competent and they're not charging a ridiculous amount for information you can find online. But like you said, a lot of stuff is very generic, right? And it doesn't apply to everyone else. It's kind of like you were just saying, I mean, you just gave an example, but it's like MKHB. Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, the tech guy. Like, he's not going to do a course on telling you how to do reaction videos. Right. Like, he's not going to tell you how to do a finance video because he knows nothing about it. So I definitely think that's
the conversations my friends and I have, YouTuber friends, are all way, way, way deeper than a surface level course. So like, there's certainly value there. And I'm sure there's people out there that would enjoy listening to like strategies. Once you have, for instance, I'm closer to 500,000 now, but recently I had this dip of 10,000 subs. I lost 10,000 subscribers. Well, what do you do when you lose momentum? Like, I had negative momentum. I was losing subscribers for 4 months. I'm finally back in the positive, but I would log into my studio and see negative subscribers for the past like 3.5 months. Well, I have a unique challenge, which is how do I get a channel back into the positive momentum? Even though on the outside, it looks like I have 75 million channel views, 500,000 subscribers almost. It's like, wow, you're crushing it. Well, yeah, in some ways, but I'm not that far away from losing my channel. Like if I go 3-month stretch of putting out the wrong videos, I could lose everything I built. That's like the risk of this game.
And you can't take a massive break either.
No, I can't financially support it.
Yeah.
I've needed a break for like 2 years, man. Ever since COVID hit, I've been on foot on the gas. I would love a 2 or 3 day break.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, with such a large channel like yours, because I did that last year. I took as my like finally my videos were getting really good viewership and I was going up, and then I was like, it's the summer, I'm spending time with my family, I don't give a shit, bye. I didn't do anything for 3 months, and it just like completely collapsed, and I started, and it was just kind of like a rocky road because I came back with like a bunch of different type of content. I was playing different characters and stuff, and my audiences just didn't resonate with it. I was putting a lot of work into it. They didn't like it, and I said this before in a multiple other podcasts that like if my show or my channel was considered like a season, like a TV show, season 1 did pretty damn well. People were interested. It's like, oh, this is cool. Season 2 would have gotten canceled. So now I'm on season 3, and we'll see how it goes. I don't drop as many videos as I used to anymore. I'm trying not to be the slave to YouTube. Again, I have like a lot going on. I also had a lot of health issues recently, so there's a lot of stuff like I just don't have time for YouTube. It's not my priority anymore. But I want to put out content that's good and that gets good views. That's my ultimate goal. Would I love to do like what you're doing for a living? Yes. But I'm also friends with another YouTuber. He's got close to 800,000 subscribers now. And him and I have conversations all the time too. And it seems to be really stressful when you make YouTube as your primary source of living.
Dude, we're NFL running backs.
Say what?
Do you follow sports like NFL?
No, I don't follow sports like that. Don't judge me.
I call them we're NFL running backs. NFL running backs in the football league. Their careers are 3 or 4 years. Like if I'm still relevant in 2 years, I had a massively successful time on YouTube. Like if you can be relevant for 5 years and make a full-time living, that is amazing. 5 years? Think of that. Today's 2023, 2018. Think of all the creators that were big then that are still producing today.
Yeah.
So few. It's so few. This career is so short term. That's why, like that, when I say pivot, you do it out of necessity. Like you have to. There is no, oh, he's a sellout, or oh, no. You have to if this is your career. You have to move. You have to create novel content that resonates.
And then people can hit you. They can hit you with this though, saying like, well, that just means that you're not good in your niche. Look at CoffeeZilla, who's been consistent for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. He's been on top of his game.
Yeah.
So. But that's rare. That's a rarity.
I agree, but he didn't have a lawsuit. He didn't have the setbacks that I did. He was able to invest in his content when I wasn't. But also to his credit, he invested well. I could have. I didn't have to buy all the houses I did. So actually, that was a little unfair to say. I invested in houses as opposed to content, and so that's where he's grown because he's built up a synergy with his editor and digital artist, and he was new, and then he's had like many different factors kind of play into, once you become number one in your space, you then get all the biggest stories. So then you create a bigger moat. Like all the stories are going to him now. Whereas a year and a half ago, a lot of people would come to me with amazing stories. And that was a lot of big videos that I relied on sources. But all those sources are going to CoffeeZilla, way fewer to me. Not taking anything away from him. I'm just saying that's
No, I
in
totally
any
get
space, like the first number one will keep growing faster. And number two, you have to really be new or different in order to keep up. And I have not been able to do that. So I'll take responsibility.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. It's like Casey Neistat. Do you remember that guy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like he was on top of his game. He was like the guy in the vlog space, right? No one could compete with him. And then he just kind of disappeared. It seems like I don't know if he still does content.
Every creator gets burnt out, man. This is an insanely mentally demanding job.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that.
High paying, but it's insanely stressful. And at some point, you just get tired. You get tired of creating. It's so hard. The thing of musicians, there are so few musicians that make more than 3 or 4 albums. It's really hard.
It's a hard space, man. Anything in a creative space is hard, and it's very hard to stay relevant.
Yes, and over the long term, that is. Over the long term.
Yeah, so I get it. Again, I'm in this space too. My channel's not as huge, but that's why I refrain from giving people such a hard time. Because meet Kevin's your friend. I don't care for him, but again, I don't know him. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him, but I don't comment on his videos. Like I'm never nasty. There's a lot of stuff I don't agree with him because to me, like I followed him when he was harassing Grant Cardone. I thought it was hilarious. And now I feel like he's become Grant Cardone. So it's like, but I don't constantly bug him and spam his comments. If I don't like his stuff, I just move on. So that's just me.
Yeah,
but
I think it's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Well, Spence, hey, listen, thank you so much for coming on my channel, man. I really appreciate it. I've held you for 2 hours. You've been really patient. Once again, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, tell everyone where they can find you, by the way.
Spencer Cornelia on YouTube. That's the best way. Or if you have any questions, you can email me or find me on IG, Spencer Cornelia 1. I just got my blue check. I just paid for it. So now I'm a little easier to
Instagram?
find. Yeah.
Oh, they finally started that process?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, $15 a month.
15. I don't know. I don't know if I want to.
Easy decision for me. It's a business, baby.
Yeah, it's a business for you. It makes sense. I have a hard time. I did the Twitter blue check mark for like 1 month. Because
you're not single. I'm single. So like there's of course some benefits to having that blue check if you want to DM some people, if you know what I mean.
I know. And some people are crazy. My wife, she gets annoyed where I'm like, all right, we can make a cutback here for $10 here, $5 here. She's like, dude, why? She's like, we're fine. You make good money. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's like I always have this broke mindset. I don't know what it is. And actually kind of hinders me from being maybe a little bit more successful than I probably should be. At least that's according to what a lot of people tell me, who I do trust, to be honest. A lot of people are like, you're in your own way sometimes. Like you have all these talents, you just choose not to monetize it. And I don't know, maybe I just feel bad for something. I don't know. Maybe it's a black thing too. I don't know. Who knows? I'm black. I'm a victim. That's how it is. I'm just kidding. So, but anyways, listen, Spencer, thank you so much. Everyone, please check out Spencer Cornelia on YouTube. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. I see you guys in the next video or podcast. Until next time, my name is Mark. You are watching Uncultured Currency. I'm sitting down with a person who Hey, you done? Hey, stop. Let's try this again.